Ben 10 Omniverse.
Omniverse.
Okay, so now, in case people are curious, yes, this has been a good few months since the last time we did Ben 10, but there are reasons for it. It's because it came around Christmas time, and personal stuff in my personal life that I'm not going to mention here. Just so you know, it wasn't good. I think people can pretty much put the pieces together from that. But yeah, Ben 10 Omniverse was quite an interesting endeavor, considering it has probably the most aliens we've seen so far in the Ben 10 franchise, all rolled into one.
Yeah, so Ben 10 Omniverse had a very interesting development because it was designed to do mainly three things. One, capitalize on the success of the classic series by introducing more classic series elements. Two, take the series in a new, more colorful, distinctive direction in terms of art style. And three, bring in new life and younger fans to the franchise.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, it could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, the art style, like, that's the first thing I'm gonna bring up. Like, Ben in this series is like it's like he went through like what Ash Ketchum goes through in the Sun and Moon anime, like very cartoonish, like facial features. Hi, Alicia. Yeah, it goes through some like very cartoony facial features. Like half his face is just his eyes in this series, which is like a bit like jarring. But the one that really stands out here is Max. Like when I saw Max's like Omniverse design, and it's just like he doesn't have any pupils; it's just sunken black eyes. I'm just like, what did they do to him?
That the art style mainly comes from the art director Derek J. Wyatt, who, if there are any Transformers fans, you might recognize him from Transformers Animated, or if you're a Scooby-Doo fan, you'll recognize him from his work on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Okay, all right. So yeah, the art design was something that it took a while for me to get used to. It really did. It really did. But I've kind of gotten used to it now. It's the Omniverse style, and I've got to get used to it for the next 40 episode. Which, by the way, side note, we're only covering the first 4 seasons because this series is 80 episodes. So if we did this in one thing, it would probably be about like what nearly 6 hours.
Probably.
Yeah. Now, one of the other the art design is not really like so much a criticism, but we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, the airing order.
So, for those who don't know, we watched Ben 10 Omniverse specifically in production order. The reason why we make the distinction between airing and production order is because when airing on Cartoon Network, Ben 10 Omniverse aired its episodes out of order. The most egregious example was a season 3 episode being aired before the finale of season 2.
Yeah, and it kind of spoils, it kind of gives a major spoiler away for what happens at the end of season 2. Also, just gotta say, hi Starlight, it's okay for being a bit like, we've just started ourselves, and also 8 episodes is a lot long. Yes, it is. You thought Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 1 was bad. Oh my god. Oh, by the way, I was busy recording my second Let's Play for Omniverse one yet. Oh, cool. So yeah, anybody who wants to see Starlight Dash go and play Omniverse on Xbox 360, go check out their channel. Great guy. Yeah. So anyway, I think we should just get talking about the episodes now. Now with the first season, there are some major changes, which makes sense because literally the title of the opening two part is "The More Things Change." So it's what we have with Omniverse is kind of like a mix of like, okay, we're gonna have like flashback to Ben 10 when he was 11 and kind of in present day because we get in because this is the start of the Kyber and Malware arc.
Yep. In the in the first scene of the More Things Change, we see an 11-year-old Ben fighting a red galvanic mechamorph known as Malware. It's also in that where we get introduced to a new alien, the Conductoid Feedback, who has the ability to absorb and redirect energy, as well as being able to control electricity.
Yeah, and this is one of the major problems I had with feedback. I mean, I like the character. Don't get me wrong; he's a cool character, but it's just like they act like feedback. Well, more specifically, Ben acts like feedback was the only alien worthwhile when he was younger, and I just say that like. Ben, you had other aliens. You had forearms. You had upgrade. You had grey matter. You had grey matter. You had big. No, wait. Big. Was Big Chill part of the classic series again? Remind me. No. Okay. So forearms, diamond head. You had great. You had grey matter. You had grey matter. You had upgrade. But no. It's like feedback this, feedback that, feedback this, feedback that, and that was like one of my major like. Feedback not being mentioned like they could have easily like mentioned like feedback in sort of like not like as a throwaway like in Alien Force like particularly at the beginning of Alien Force like when Gwen's saying like do you have any idea how hard it took us to get the Omnitrix off you and Ben could have been like yeah, I remember it involved feedback. And just that, like, oh, who's feedback? What's feedback? Like, just give like a throwaway line for like if it'll come up later.
Yeah, that's mainly because, like, of course, like, by time of like classic series and Alien Force, like, they didn't even come up with the idea of feedback.
Yeah, and that's a problem on a lot of like just programming. Like when they mention something when this thing is not mentioned before, but then later on they pretend like oh yeah this was always a thing. That's like one of my biggest issues with Freddy arc. Otherwise, he's a pretty cool character, and I did like the Malware arc. Like, I'm just gonna give my initial thoughts on the Malware arc. I liked it. Malware was an interesting villain, being like an antithesis. He was legitimately an antithesis to upgrade because he was part of the same species.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and also, yeah, it's kind of cool that we have both Ben 10s in the same series. That is pretty cool. Starlight Dash. But yeah, now like Tell suggests, there are more things that are changing here, and one of the biggest ones is that we have Gwen and Kevin leaving, which, in my opinion, for them both, it was the right time for them to take a break, considering we spent like. Gwen has been part of Ben's team since the very beginning, and at this point it's been like over 150 episodes, and with Kevin it's been like over 100 episodes. So it was finally time that they took a break to do their own thing, and this was like something that was hinted at from the original series as well, because of the fact when we first get introduced to Ghost to Scare, they were at a college, and Gwen was always like dead set on like I want to go to college. Mm-hmm. So she finally got to have a chance here. Like, hey, I'm gonna go to college.
Going to college early.
Yeah, going to college early, and Kevin's coming with me. While we do lose Gwen and Kevin for the majority of Omniverse, it's not like they're gone forever. They do pop in from time to time when they're needed, and with with Gwen and Kevin gone, we get Max back in a big role, in a bigger role than compared to what he had in Ultimate Alien, which I do love. Because everyone knows, whoever spoken to me knows Max is my favorite character in Ben 10. So to have him back in Omniverse, that was nice.
Yep. We also get introduced to a new character meant to be Ben's partner, who we get introduced to when Ben goes to Mr. Bauman's shop, who was initially introduced in Ultimate Alien. Mr. Bauman now being a very much wait no I'm jumping a bit out of order, but Mr. Bauman is very much now like a different character. Now he's kind of being like a comic relief, where the whole thing is like Ben wrecks something of Mr. Bauman's. Mr. Bauman goes, Tennyson.
It's like very Dennis the Menace kind of thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Ben wrecking other people's stuff, we also get introduced to Pakmar.
God, Pakmar deserves, like, he deserves to, like, okay, I'm gonna take a specific spot in the undercity, the underground city where all the aliens reside in Omniverse. He needs to take a spot and be like, no Tennyson's allowed. But yeah, so, and as Starlight Dash said in the comments there, we get introduced to Ben's new partner, Rook, which I've got to say, I agree with you, Starlight. The first time Rook came, he left a very good impression on me. I love Rook in this series. I love his design. I love his armor. I love his, like, way of fighting, and I love, like, how he's the fish out of water guy trying to get accustomed to Earth culture, and he doesn't understand, like, basic, like, sarcasm, like figures of speeches, and it just leads to some great banter with him and Ben.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting way. It's definitely interesting direction for Ben, because now, instead of like having to figure out the heroing stuff, like he's went from trying to figure out how to be a hero to figuring out how to be a hero on his own, to now having to show someone else how to be a hero.
Yeah,
and even though, like, it's supposed Rook is very much a rookie and Ben's very experienced, they very quickly just become straight up equals. And
yeah,
which is also a nice part of the dynamic, because Ben does not look down on Rook.
oh, absolutely. He does not look down. He does not look down on Rook. I think that's because of the fact that Gwen, because he's had Gwen and Kevin for so long, and they've kind of like rubbed off on him. Because compared to, we see this later on in the series, compared to their early days, and oh my God, we get return of young Ben and young Gwen bickering, and I'm just there like, ugh! We should have left this back in the classic series. What was a good? What was?
But then again, the 11, like the flashbacks are meant to emulate the classic series. So.
Yeah, and it's and I could do without being reminded of those. But no, as Ben has gone on with Gwen and Kevin, they've kind of rubbed off on him in a way. So like he's like, okay, this is my new partner. He's going to be part of my team, so I've got to treat him as part of my team. And I didn't know that. Like, it was Rook's voice actor. It was his first acting role, apparently.
Huh.
Yeah. So that kind of like fits for Rook's character, like being the new guy and being thrust into like the deep end right away. Like, hey, you're the new protagonist of the Ben 10 franchise. Yep. So yeah, could be kind of nervous about it as well. But also as well, we have Max's plumber shop literally being the entrance to the plumber's base, which in turn I believe leads to Undercity, doesn't it?
Yep. It leads to a plumber base, which then I believe that can lead to Undertown.
Undertown, sorry, I was calling it Undercity. Well,
No
same thing, really.
It's also in this episode where we also meet a new antagonist, that being Kyber the Huntsman.
No relation. I've got to do it. No relation to Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh. And also he has a dog called Zed. No relation to Zed from Power Rangers. I just had to get that. I just had to get it out of the way because that was the first thing that I noticed about the names.
Yep, and basically Kyber's whole thing is that is that his dog Zed is equipped with something called the Nematrix, which has the ability to transform into the natural predators of any of Ben's aliens. We first seen this shown off when Ben is fighting off a Pyronite predator, that's Heat Blast species, the Crab Dozer, as he fights it off of Spider Monkey.
Yeah, and I was gonna. Yeah, of course, I got the reference in before you, Starlight. But yeah, this is like the perfect like antagonist to Ben, because it's like no matter what Ben throws at Kaiba, he will always have a counter to it, and his voice is quite intimidating, I must say.
Yep, I believe he's voiced by David Kay, who like.
Yeah, who I believe is doing some anime at the moment. Let me check. Let me have a look up David Kay, what he's doing at the moment. But yeah, and of course for you Transformers Beast Wars fans out there, yeah, it's the same guy that plays Megatron, the rubber ducky Megatron. As I like to call him, David Kay. Yeah, it is David Kay. Let me just look at his profile. But yeah, also in this episode, we get reintroduced to Siphon, who is Phil Gatz's henchman from Ultimate Alien, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now he's on his own since Vilgax is gone, I don't know where, and he leads like a small little gaggle of petty crooks.
Yeah.
Like,
that was it. Yeah. So he's also David Kay. He plays the new main antagonist in the new Pokemon Horizons series, Gibeon. So that's pretty cool as well. That he's like still getting. I mean, he's got the voice for it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I almost forgot to mention that in The More Things Change, we get introduced to another transformation for 16-year-old Ben, the Segmenta Sapien Blocks, who is basically a Lego gorilla.
Yeah, and at first, when I first saw him, I was like, because this is what I had with my notes. Not feeling it because it's literally just upgrade. It's literally just they took upgrade and being like, how can we make upgrade more kiddie? Let's give him Legos. So yeah, that's was my initial thoughts on Block. I mean, he does get better. But he's not one of my favorites.
Yep.
And also, by the end of it all, the way that Ben wins over Rook was through Ben's favorite snack, chili fries. Which I've got to say, I guess Ben took the way to win the way to win people over is through their stomach. Well, I guess he took that to the nth degree. Also, David voiced Transformers animated Optimus. Like, oh yeah, he's got. Like I said, he's one of the best voices in the series.
And since we already dipped into the More Things Change Part 2, we also see when Ben and Rook confront Siphon, we see some more Nemetric transformations, such as the Bug Lizard, who I believe Bug Lizard is the predator of like Stinkfly.
I believe so too, but I'm sure someone will correct us from that later on. Yeah, so really that was all my notes that I had for the more things change. It was a great start, a great introduction to a new character in the series. But do we get introduced? No, we don't get introduced to another character here that I'm so looking forward to. When we get to it. Also, I didn't. From what I'm seeing on the wiki, we've still got Dwayne McDuffie being credited as a writer. Because I'm looking on here and on the More Things Change Part 2, and it's saying written by Matt Wayne and Dwayne McDuffie.
Dwayne McDuffie was still a part of like production when I believe for the first 2 seasons of Omniverse.
Yeah, because didn't he have like a totally different vision for Omniverse before his passing? Because I heard there was like different ideas jotting around.
Yeah, I believe that might be the case. Because I know like I remember seeing a video about like all of like Dwayne McDuffie's plans for like Ben 10, like from like season 3 of Alien Force. Hold on. Let me try to find that video.
Yeah, you try and find that video, and I'll read Starlight's comment. Let's just say that Blocks isn't respected. I mean, he's not going to get like in my top 10. He's no upgrade. He is no upgrade. And I know I saw your tier list on the Alien Starlight. I know upgrade isn't at the top for you, but I'm sorry, Upgrade is just so cool. He's just such a cool alien. So anyway, with episode 3 of Omniverse, we get a jolt from the past, where we have ironically 11-year-old Ben. He doesn't like smoothies. It's like every time when 11-year-old Ben mentions Mr. Smoothie, it's like he wants to throw up in his mouth, and I do love that. I want to know like the story of like how Ben went to like Mr. Smoothie. That's a story I would love to see. So we also have in the episode Ben and Rook going around stopping crimes before Ben can become a hero. And we have Megawatts wanting Ben and Rook to follow them because their friends were powering a generator. So we get the Megawatts back, which this is the first time since the original series that we've seen the Megawatts, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So apparently there's like a whole like website regarding Dwayne McDuffie's work on Ben 10.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'll send that link over to you. But yeah, this is the first time we've seen the Megawatts in a while. And apparently at age 11, Ben slept with rubber sheets.
Yeah. Why? I have no idea. But one of the big things that we get introduced to in this episode is one of Ben's more recurring aliens from Omniverse, Gravitack, which is pretty cool. Gravitack, he has gravity powers. I mean, anyone who has gravity powers is instantly a cool character.
Yeah, Gravitack is really cool. It's also in this episode where I think they do like a really good like portrayal of Ben after like, after saving the universe like multiple times, like with the hybrid war and
Yeah,
the
which
dragon shit.
which I've got to say, you'd think that would get annoying, but Ben has cashed in that check, so he gets the right to he gets bragging rights.
Yeah, and like throughout most of the episode, Ben just like pulls up on like petty criminals, and there's like, oh shit, that's Ben 10. I'm not messing with this guy. I am not messing with this guy.
Yeah. Also, hiya, comrade. Just to just to let me know, you're Richmond, aren't you? From the new server that Red has created, aren't you? The new server that Red for Control Chaos created. Just let me know. Just let me know about that if that's you. But yeah, as a Lego fan, I love blocks, and yeah, I think that's and I think that's because I was more of a fan of Duplo when I was younger rather than Lego. That's probably why I put Raph in. Yeah, you did. Because I did mention Tyler that to Starlight. Yeah, we have to do. I did say to him, let me tell you something, Starlight Dash. If you don't put Raph in S tier, you are gonna be beaten. You are gonna be beaten up by Raph. I had to do the Raph voice for that. I personally believe that Omniverse should have had Gwen and Kevin in the first few episodes alongside. I disagree. Because that kind of would like undermine like Rook's introduction. Like they needed like, okay, this is the new guy coming in. He has to make a good first impression of these. And if you had Gwen and Kevin there, you'll be like questioning like, how good is this guy really? So I'm glad that they didn't include Gwen and Kevin in the first few episodes. It gave time for Ben to get to establish his dynamic with Rook before bringing them in.
Mm-hmm. It's also in A Jolt from the Past, where we meet a new recurring villain for Ben to face off against, Fishtrick, who is a dude bro. I feel like with a lot of Omniverse's characters, like, yeah, they live or die by their gimmick, considering the more comedic tone.
Yeah, and it's kind of like they'll show up for a while, then go away, then come back, then go away again, then come back. Like they can show up like at the most random of random times.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there was not really much more to say for me about this episode. It was just again Rook getting accustomed to Earth culture, and mainly the introduction of the new antagonist and the new alien grav attack.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, you are Richmond. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here for this. So yeah, we all so we have episode 4, So Long, and Thanks for All the Movies, which as soon as I saw that title, it immediately reminded me of the song from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And yes, like I said, we're going in production order. So whereas the wiki has it as airing order. So we have it was them on the wiki as the next episode after Johnson Pass, but in production order, this is episode 4.
Actually, sorry to sound like a snooty guy, but
you can be as snooty as you want.
Says right here, it says this article is about the episodes in intended order. You might have been looking, and the production order and the U.S. airing order are two separate things.
Oh god! This is see how this can be confusing. So I guess so. We'll go for It Was Them then, and then we'll talk about So Long and Thanks for All the Smoothies.
All right, and it was them. We get the return of Dr. Aloysius James
Yeah,
Animo.
yes, it was one of my favorite villains. I just love I love how Animals become like he's essentially the Dr. Robotnik of Ben 10 if you really think about it.
I've seen him compared to. Personally, I compared to Dr. Cortex from Crash Bandicoot, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it's only just because in another server we were watching the Sonic films, so that and just how Robotnik can be so petty. Yeah, we all love Animo, but yeah, I love how Animo has just become so petty about Ben 10 over the years. It's like it's really is that one troublemaking teenager has made me tear every hair from my beautiful head.
Yep, and it's so basically in this episode, Ben gets attacked by Kyber and Zed again. This time we also see a new predator called the Slamworm, which is a predator for Talpadans, armadillo species.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like okay, Ben. At this point, Ben is kind of getting used to Kyber's like tricks here, so because he immediately is like going to transform. He immediately transforms into Diamond Head to combat the Slamworm.
Yep, and they immediately go into it, investigate Dr. Animo, who is obviously not behind the random attacks, but is planning some stuff regarding ants.
Yes, he's planning to create giant mutated ants this time. Ants. He needs it, and he's not. And if only he had Ant-Man on his side.
Yep, he's got a whole bunch of ants. We got fire-breathing ants. We got giant ants. I mean, he even makes himself an ant suit and calls himself the Ant King.
Yeah. And my other notes to take away from this episode is just Ben exaggerating Dr. Animo's words all the time.
Another thing is that we also get introduced to another alien, the Orthopteran Crashhopper.
Yeah, because I did put new alien we've already seen. I think that's because we watched So Long and Thanks for All the Smoothies before this episode.
Yeah. Yes. That's mainly probably because they worked on Thanks for All the Smoothies before it was them.
Yeah, so that's where the confusion came in. Crash Bandicoot has been no, I'm gonna do it. Crash Bandicoot has been mentioned. I had to do my best animal voice there.
We also see Crash Hopper's natural predator, the Mucilator, which it just looks like he just
looks like I'm trying to. Okay, it reminds me so much of have you played? This is kind of a weird comparison to mention, Tyler, but have you played Resident Evil Village?
No, I have not.
Okay, there's a creature in that game that looks remarkably similar to the Mucilator, just with the mouth gaping open. Like, I'll get an image of it and send it to you.
To me, it mainly looks like if Jabba the Hutt got really bad acne.
Yeah. Here we go. It kind of reminds me of that.
Let me take a look. Yeah, Jesus, Jiminy Crickets.
Yeah. I've got to say that is the scariest part of Resident Evil 8. Especially since it's meant to be a mutant baby, that. But yeah, that's kind of like what it reminded me of. And yeah, as Tyler said, this is where we finally get the reveal of Animo's full name. Like, his middle name is James. Which I've got to say, that's kind of like that's kind of ironically funny, like because his name being Aloysius. However,
Aloysius.
Aloysius Animal, you figure like his middle name will be something like just more outrageous. But no, it's just James.
Fun fact, I believe that it started out that that we didn't know Dr. Animo's name and middle name, and like James was just slapped on the Ben 10 wiki page before Omniverse even aired, and then it got like canonized by Omniverse.
Okay, okay, that would actually be kind of funny if that was the case. But yeah, also as well, Starlight, I've got to say, I do like how Animal just literally his brain is in a jar on his head in Omniverse. I do like that look for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really all the notes I had for It Was Them. So,
all right. And now,
so now
we go along and thanks for all the smoothies.
Yeah, which, as I was going to say before we had to correct ourselves, this it wouldn't surprise me if this was like referencing the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with "So long and thanks for all the fish." Considering that we get a mention of in later on in the series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy's author Douglas Adams. But yeah, this is one of the more questionable episodes. Not for anything that's controversial about it, just for what happens in regards to the ending of this episode, which I had as my final note for this. But yeah, so we have the Freedom Brothers who are destroying the Promise Academy. We have gotta say his name. Argent. Oh, Argent.
Yep. The Riddles previously destroyed the Plumbers Academy, so they're back to being bad guys.
Yeah, they're back to being bad guys. Which can't they just be like, oh, couldn't they have just been like, okay, we're good guys now, but we're still going to be cock-ups?
I don't know. But
So yeah, I just wanted to go through my other notes quickly before we get to like that ending. Okay. So we have Rook still learning human expressions in this episode, which again I love. That it's taking him time to get accustomed to the Earth culture. And we also have the return of the Emperor Frog, because that's going to lead into the upcoming arc, which is going to be after the Malware arc, with the War of the Frogs. But yeah, the big thing about this episode is everyone dead?
Technically, because this episode was one giant goose chase for a doomsday device known as the Annihilar Genesis Story of Themirgast.
Which is just
the
a mouthful. Yeah, or as I like to call it, the big red button. Because that's essentially what it is. It's a big red button. But yeah, so it gets pressed. Then Alien X, finally, Alien X does something.
Yep.
But then it's like, wait, so technically he rewound. Did he rewind time or just reset everything? Because
no. Ben just created a whole new universe that is an exact well, not so exact. Create an exact duplicate of their universe.
But then, if it's not an exact duplicate, shouldn't some things be different?
Some things are different. That's why I say a not so exact replica. As you can see, Ben didn't have his white hoodie before the Annihilar went off. Now he does have his white hoodie.
Oh yeah.
And haven't you noticed that Mr. Smoothie's different too?
No. Oh, Mr. Smooth. Isn't Mr. Smoothie's the sign red now instead of green?
No, the sign was red. Now it's green.
Oh, right, okay. But still, it's like if you're gonna go for the trouble of like making an exact duplicate just with minor alteration, like what's the point? Like, oh god, my brain's gonna explode from this. And I think the thing that's kind of like frustrating for me is that all I'm saying is that this episode changed everything. Yeah, it changed me thinking like, wait, so are they dead or aren't they dead or are they dead?
That the original versions of these characters are all dead, except for Ben.
So does that mean the original version of Gwen's dead?
Yes.
But then they go back in time and they see the original Gwen from when she was a kid as well. Thanks to Professor Paradox. Wouldn't Professor Paradox be dead then? Or but then he exists outside the realm of time travel. But wouldn't Max wouldn't original Max from the classic series be dead as well? Wouldn't he be different? Like, you can see how this gets confusing, Tyler.
I think like how I would explain it is that just because the universe is destroyed doesn't mean the timeline is destroyed.
But then it's a different universe, so shouldn't it be a different timeline?
No. Because universes and timelines are two different things that are not intertwined with each other.
Mind blown.
And not to mention, there's also a problem in Ben 10 where they keep using like universe and dimension and timeline like almost interchangeably, which makes understanding the Ben 10 cosmology really fucking confusing.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Like, we've got to explain the Digimon universe to Red at some point. Can you imagine those trying to explain the Ben 10 universe?
Yeah, and believe me, we still have a bit of a way to go when it comes to the Ben 10 universe.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the big controversy. Well, I say controversy, more like questionable nature about this episode. So yeah, episode 6, Trouble, Trouble
Helix.
Helix, which is a very interesting episode because it basically confirms that Asmith okay, there's something I cannot say because it spoils something about a certain season of Power Rangers. But yeah, essentially, Asmith is indirectly responsible for upgrade, species creation, and in turn, technically, is responsible for malware existing.
I would say more, a little more direct than that. Okay, so for context, the entire episode takes place in a flashback, or in the case for Kyber, just like a video file in the plumber base.
Yeah, so it's basic. Yeah, so Kyber throughout this whole episode is just watching a video.
Yep. We on 5 years ago on Galvin Prime, we actually see Asmith and Albedo before he got turned into a red Ben 10.
Yeah. So I this is one of the very few episodes where Ben is not essential to the 60-year-old Ben 10 practically does nothing in this episode.
Yeah, aside from a quick glimpse at my boy Chromastone.
Yeah. Or as you said it every time he showed up previously, my boy. I kind of wish Kevin returned as part of Alien X, but Kevin Conroy, but the new VA was cool. Yeah, he was.
Yep. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Oh, go on.
oh,
Carry on.
that's so Max had made an appointment with Azimuth regarding Ben being stuck as a different alien for the past month, which has caused Max to not be able to sleep. And Azimuth is like, well, he's been stuck as a different alien for well, yeah, he hasn't slept in a month because for each month, Ben has been stuck with a different alien. Currently, he's stuck as Accelerate, and Azimuth's like, low priority, fuck off.
Yeah, because Asmith, Asmith is just Asmith is a bit of a bastard if you really think about it.
Well, you also got to keep in mind that like Azimuth is the closest thing they have to like the president or the prime minister of Galvin Prime. So I imagine he does have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, I imagine that, but still, even so, it's like it's kind of like people come to him and he's like, "Oh, go away, sort it out yourself."
Well, he tells Max to come back in 2 years, which
Which
imagine
is which is essentially the same as saying, "Go away, figure it out yourself." Yeah. Also, can we just acknowledge how hologram Gwenhead is creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
the funniest part about what we were talking about with Azimuth is that he literally just fixes the Omnitrix by like just by smacking it, and then the problem's solved.
Yeah.
Literally 2 seconds out of like.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Like literally 2 seconds out of his day, which like, yeah, it does make Azimuth seem more like a prick. Speaking of Azimuth being a prick, we get to see malware after he went on the Atkins diet.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And also, one last thing about this episode is that I really wish we had gotten an upgrade versus, like, we got upgrade versus malware fight. So, like, the species of upgrade battling malware.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, hell, we don't see 16-year-old Ben use upgrade until season 4.
Yeah,
But it's going to be a bit longer until 11-year-old Ben uses upgrade.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I mean, I guess Ben was having PTSD from malware that he didn't want to use upgrade for a while. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was really all I had for this episode. Like I said, it's mainly just a flashback, focusing on Azimuth and finding out more about the lore of malware. But
Yeah.
It's still a pretty good episode.
Yeah, but we do see like a lot when it comes to malware. Like we learned that malware was created that
trying to get the words out.
Yeah, trying to get the words out.
Yeah, was created from a corrupted mechamorph. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, basically, malware, when he was being born, had like the process interrupted, which caused him to be which caused him to basically be incomplete. So now Azimuth has been trying to build a secondary helix to fix malware and make him whole again, which then causes malware to steal Albedo to do the work, to do all the work. And when the work is done, instead of being sweet grassy green, he's now I'm gonna murder everybody red.
Yeah. Exterminate.
And Malware's whole gimmick is basically the opposite of what the Galvanic Mechamorphs do. Instead of upgrading technology, Malware absorbs and assimilates technology into his own body.
Okay, since you said assimilated, that's I feel like that's more of like the Borg. Resistance is futile. Yeah. So yeah. That was all my notes about the episode.
Okay.
And now we've got Hot Stretch, where we have an interesting character that has a fusion device. And at first, when this character showed up, I was like, "Oh, they're fighting Charmcaster. That's who they're facing." But nope, it's not Charmcaster. We don't get Charmcaster yet. But that would have been kind of interesting if it really turned out to be her.
Yeah. Instead, it turns out to be a new character, Esther, of the Khaos species, a race of stretchy, hot-blooded aliens in Undertown.
Yeah, who are made of tungsten, which is for you nerds is like the strongest metal on Earth. So it's harder than titanium, which is kind of impressive.
It's not that it's hard; it's that it's dense.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, wrong word there. But yeah, she's a very interesting character. I wonder what Julie's gonna make of her if Julie finds Ben with Esther. And I'm saying that because I've seen the episode now, so I know what Tyler was preparing me for.
Yep.
We're gonna get to that.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, we also have the people, one of them being one of the cryos, essentially having the Croho, essentially being essentially being Ben 10's equivalent of Mr. Fantastic because they have the really stretchy arms.
Yep.
And of course they love to play hockey.
Must be Canadians.
Yeah, they must be Canadians, and they're getting revenge for the Blame Canada song.
I'm also looking on the wiki, and apparently there's a character who like makes a cameo in this episode called Sponge Gorb.
What? Sponge? Oh my god! Yeah. Which I mean, yeah, which is like just it's chili fry. It's chili fries the alien. That is really what he is. Or more spaghetti.
He kind of looks like a sea anemone. But yeah, he's named after SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh my god!
Obvious.
Yeah,
but...
they name him after SpongeBob SquarePants, but literally all his episodes are just cameo.
Oh, and there's Guilford Bromley, named after Wilford Brimley.
Oh. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of characters that are in the background and don't really do anything, but they have their own wiki page.
Yeah.
Yeah, which just goes to show how vast the Ben 10 franchise is.
Yeah, it really goes to show like how Omniverse was dedicated to like all the small details, which I can appreciate. Like it definitely helps make Undertown feel very lived in, and honestly, it's one of my favorite locations in the Ben 10 franchise.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely is for me.
Despite being like an underground city full of aliens, it weirdly enough feels very real and lived in.
Oh, it really does. It really, really does.
But moving on to any more episodes? Anything else for Hot Stretch? Or
not really. I just had energy eating a fusion device. Oh no, energy eating a fusion device.
Oh yeah, NRG.
NRG, yeah, NRG, just like eating a fusion device, which just begs the question, like what would that even taste like?
Radiation.
Yep, a lot of radiation, a lot of radiation. But those were really all my notes to have about the episode.
Well, on to episode 8. Have I got a deal for you?
Of course, of course.
Which we see. It starts with a chase with the return of Sunder, but then we get on to the main. We get introduced to some more of Omniverse gag characters with Blarney T. Hoakstar, who is a businessman and a con man who sells like a bunch of random trinkets and shit.
Yeah, and also as well, to go to my British roots, the title is a reference to the British television panel show. Have I got news for you? Which I never really watched, but I know it was quite popular in the 90s. But yeah, we are. This is where this is where we have Pax. Pax. Pax.
To sum up the entirety of Pax's character, he's a alien rights activist, which and most of his screen time is spent being intrusive, annoying, and just the worst.
He is basically radical vegan people from Peter. That is basically what it is. It's like no matter what the creature does, like the creature could just rip apart his house, rip apart his clothes, basically rip off his arms and legs, and he would still be like, "Oh, it's just so helpless. It just wants attention and everything."
Yeah, and that's where Pax comes to blow with Hoakstar, because he has a magical elixir that lets you grow hair, as seen with a rock monster grow. This rock guy named Solid Plug growing hair. But it turns out the elixir is created from a creature called a Screegit, which is being kept by Hoakstar so we can extract the necessary juice to create the elixir.
Yeah. Also, baby, what's up? Hey, welcome to the stream. So yeah, and also part of what makes Pax such an idiot in this episode, because he talks about like because he talks, I believe he says something about like wanting nitrogen, or it was something to do with nitrogen, wasn't it?
Hold on.
Because he kept mentioning like something to go on with hydrogen in the episode, and because I put as one of my notes, how does Pax not know that there is nitrogen in the air?
I think it's regarding the Screegit, because hold on, let me because when the Screegit is exposed to nitrogen, they become giant acid spitting monsters.
Right, that's it.
And yet Pax doesn't know that the Earth's entire atmosphere is filled to the brim with nitrogen.
Yeah, so he's basically setting the monster loose on the planet that could kill everyone.
Yep.
So, can you see why I don't like Pax?
Yeah.
Yeah. but yeah, we also have gray matter in this episode.
Only for a small bit, which, oh yeah, this scene is in this episode. Basically, where Ben is trying to transform into an alien to stop the Screegit. He then transforms into Jury Rig, then the gray matter, then a nanomech, and finally blocks. Which, if he could do that, why hasn't he done that in the past? Like, if you can just try again, why doesn't he? Because of the amount of times he could just transform into Humongosaur. He wants to transform into Humongosaur. Why doesn't he?
Cartoon logic, Tyler. Cartoon logic. Yeah. So yeah, really, Pax is easily one of the worst characters. He contributes less than Argit. And that's saying something considering I hate Argit. And I know I'm supposed to hate him.
Like, at least Argit has, like, the, like, love to hate aspect about him. Pax is just an unfunny joke. An unfunny joke they stretch out for way too long.
Yeah, he is in way too many episodes that he honestly does not need to be in.
Hold on, because, like, from what I remember, he was only in 2 episodes that we've watched.
And he was in way too many. He was in way too many that he did not need to be in.
Oh wait, he was in. Actually, we're actually never seeing Pax again. So.
No, we're seeing him again. We're gonna see him again. And I do.
No, seriously. His last episode was rad, and that's in season 3.
Yeah, so we are gonna see him again. Yeah, but
like,
still,
after that, we never see him again. Aside from a photo.
Again, too many episodes, Tyler. One episode too many. Also, gonna read Baby's comment. I have an idea for the next Ben 10 show to be about Ben, but when he's 11 in classic style. We could see how he gets feedback when he lost him, but more in depth. New for it. Yeah, that could work. It just depends what they want to do with the franchise now.
I heard there's like a comic series on the works, but we don't know what's gonna be up with that.
So anyway, we've got the season 1 finale of Predators and Prey.
Yep.
Where I for a season finale I did not take many notes about this. I guess there was really not. I guess it was just because I enjoyed it. I was like, hey, I don't really need to take any notes. The episode just speaks for itself. But yeah, so we have in the flashback 4 arms fighting malware, which is always cool. It's always cool to see 4 arms fight. But also we have a legit argument between Ben and Rook for the first time in the series. Because
kind of.
But yeah, because I feel like it's because Ben, he soaks up all the attention by being like, I'm Ben 10, I saved the universe more times count. And it's like, yeah, but you wouldn't have been able to do it alone, not Tyler. You wouldn't have been able to do it alone, Ben.
We also
get introduced to another new villain. So we have like Malware, Kyber, Zed, and now we have a 4th one, Dr. Psychopsis, who is basically part of Brainstorm species.
Yep. Who we first see in a flashback in his lair on Brainstorm's home planet Encephalonus 4. So part of that flashback was the fact that he copied some of the data of the Omnitrix. And you basically, Psychobos is going to use that as a partial blueprint for what would eventually become the Nematrix. Speaking of the Nematrix, I have to go take a call real fast, so Luke, you can just carry on.
All right. Yeah. So my other notes that I had for this episode is that we get the referencing of Sunder's arm being in the null void, where it's kind of like Ben had to use his arm in the null void. We kind of get that reference here, and also Ben still is one that needs to learn, like, oh, how do I need to be part. I need to learn to need to work with my team. Like, I need to be a team player. Like, we get it. It's the Ben 10 show, but at the same time, he does need his team around him. Can you imagine if in Pokemon Ash only used Pikachu all the time and used none of his other Pokemon? That's kind of the thing here, because Ben without Rook, he gets defeated badly by Kaiba. And that is basically how the first episode ends. So in the second episode, we get Raph making his, I do believe it's Raph's Omniverse first appearance. From what I remember. Let me just look it up. Let me just check quickly. Yeah, I think this is the first time we see Raph in the series. But yeah, throughout this episode, Ben has kind of like a boner for going with Humongousaur. And I'm just there saying, like, what? Why? Why does he keep going for Humongousaur? Like, you've got other aliens that can fight just on the same level as Humongousaur, Ben, like 4 arms, diamond head. Raph can, I would say, could fight just as well as Humongousaur. So why do you keep going for him? Also, baby, I hope we get Smith for what? Okay, remind me of what that is. Cause isn't the 20th anniversary of Ben 10 actually coming up soon? 20 years of Ben 10. Wow, that is scary. That is scary to think here. So also as well, we have more flashbacks to Gwen and Max in the Ben 10 in Ben 10 Omniverse, and in this episode we have Big Chill's Omniverse debut. Oh no. It doesn't say that this is Ralph's first appearance, so that's my bad. But yeah, by the end of this episode, Kaiba has been defeated but not taken out, because we have Kaiba escaping and being told by Malware to capture Ben again. And that's where we wrap up the series. So we have Malware, Dr. Psychosis, and Kaiba essentially meeting each other for the first time by the end of this 2-parter.
Well, Dr. Psychobos already was aware of Kaiba. It's just that we see them all on screen together for the first time.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay. But
okay.
Did we it's also during this episode that we also did you mention Ball Weevil?
No, I didn't mention Ball Weevil.
But yeah, we get introduced to a new alien called Ball Weevil, who has the power, whose whole power is basically a game of Katamari Damacy. And we get introduced to another Nematrix predator called the Tarantula, who is the natural predator to Ball Weevil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I talked about like part 2 as well during this.
Okay.
Because I count them both as one episode, because they're just 2 parts of a single story.
All right. During I also want to point out that Ben and Rook faked their argument.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I was getting to that. Yeah, they faked their argument because it was a trap that Ben said was totally intentional, but I think there might have been some truth to it as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was season 1 of Omniverse. Overall, pretty good start to the Omniverse rabbit hole, as it were. With more to come, especially since we get started with season 2, where we get caught up with Gwen and Kevin, and this is where I feel like this actually works now, because now that we've established Rook as a character and part of Ben's team, it's finally time for him to see, like, okay, how does he interact with Kevin and Gwen?
Yep.
And they do get along pretty well, I must say.
Yeah, they do. Like, I feel like in a lot of stories that like when an established character brings back old friends to introduce to their new friends, like the new friend has to kind of prove himself to themselves to the old friends. But thankfully in this, like, there's no need. Like, Rook gets along with Kevin because their love of vehicles. We haven't even mentioned Rook's proto truck yet.
Oh yeah, Rook's Pro Truck, which is like the new like main vehicle now that Ben can't attack. I mean, drive in Kevin's car.
I mean, to be fair, Ben does have his own car, but it's nothing compared to the proto truck.
Nope. Which is disguised as Max's plumbing truck as well.
Yep. So the basically in this episode, we find out that 2 years ago, Arjit and Kevin were on the planet Khaos, home to the Tetramans, and
And Kevin basically cheated on Gwen.
Well, not really cheated on Gwen. Technically, okay. So, long story short, he promised to marry the Tetraman princess Luma Redwind, daughter of Gar Redwind, in exchange for some modifications to his car. Because apparently Tetramans make indestructible engine blocks.
Yeah, but that technically counts as cheating because he's getting married to someone. He's promising to get married to someone else when he's already in a relationship.
But the engagement actually came first, so he's technically cheating on Luma and not Gwen.
Okay. Either way, Kevin is a cheater.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Kevin had no intention of actually marrying Luma, but
it's still not gonna fly when you have the missus and the ex there, especially when you have to deal with Arjit. And literally every time Arjit showed up, I literally put it in block capitals of just Arjit.
I mean, to be fair, this is one of Arjit's. This is an episode where Arjit isn't really being a scumbag.
I know.
Not to mention, Gwen doesn't really play the jealous girlfriend thing here. Like, she openly mocks that.
Yeah, which she so easily could have done, and she would have been in every right to do as well. Because it's like, hey, Kevin, what the hell?
Yeah, but she genuinely feels bad for Luma, considering Kevin strung her along.
Yeah, that is pretty fishy of Kevin as well. But what I do love about this episode, particularly towards the end, is that the priest is still talking whilst they're fighting.
Oh yeah,
like, that priest wanted to get through that whole ceremony and was gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah. So So Ben actually fights Luma, going through a lot of his aliens. Like he goes from Crash Hopper to Clockwork to Shock Squatch, when finally landing on Forearms. And for some reason, Kevin knocks out RJ without any any rhyme or reason.
Because it's Arjit. That is the only reason you need, Tyler.
Well, we actually find out. Well, after Ben wins the fight by going Forearms, we find out that that female Tetramans are betrothed to the male who defeats them in battle. And RJ was going to point that out, so that's why Kevin knocked him out.
Yeah, fair enough. But still, it's Arjit. It's Arjit. He deserves to be knocked out at every opportunity.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, and half of this is literally just me doing it for show with my hatred for Arjit.
Oh, hold on, got a barking dog.
Yep, he's got a barking dog. Tyler's got a barking dog. But yeah, those were really all I had for Many Happy Returns. It was nice to see Gwen and Kevin back and see how well they would interact with Rook. So yeah, we're moving on to episode 2, Gone Fishing. And this episode, I would say, is probably the worst so far of Omniverse, because literally nothing really happens in this episode. It's basically just an episode that's essentially just fishing. It's just the only worthwhile thing to take away from this episode is that we have old guy who doesn't believe in cliches and who gets in trouble and now wants Ben, and we find out that Ben sucks at fishing because why not? But one of the things that I do question about this is that Max, you've been a plumber for God. How many years has Max been a plumber at this point? Like, he should know better than to fire at or even blast anything against a force field, because it's going to ricochet back. I mean, granted, it could break, but still, you don't know that. Just test it first before going for fire get at it. But yeah, the creatures in this episode can cause whirlpools, and another thing that's really confusing about this is Raph hates water. Now, why is this confusing? Because he's a tiger, and tigers are supposed to be the only cats that actually love water. So, like, why would he hate water? Unless it's a mixture between him and Ben. But yeah, really, the Gone Fishing episode, honestly, it's just it's literally just an episode of like, hey, we are just gonna fish, and we're gonna do it with Magister Paltida, who from who is just there with the group, but also we get Ripjaw's Omniverse debut, which is, I think, the first time in a really, really long time that we've actually seen Ripjaw. Like, there are quite a few of the classic aliens that make an appearance here, especially if you've seen the intro. But yeah, like I said, not really much to say about this episode. Now, with the next episode, Outbreak, which is the third episode, we have a return of Dr. Psychosis, where it is Leia with the where he's finding a fault in the Nematrix, and it's causing it to glitch out. So the villains are wanting Ben 10 again, and Rook and Ben are sparring, and Rook wanting Ben to not use the Omnitrix, which makes sense because Ben really needs to learn how to fight without using the Omnitrix. And it would be because his normal body, I don't think Ben really has done like much fighting in his normal body. He kind of just is more like, I'm just going to use the Omnitrix because they can do all the fighting for me. But it's nice to have that backup that Rook is wanting him wanting to teach him about. And also with this episode, we have Ben not understanding snack machines. I do love that. About it. And of course, Ben again breaks the Omnitrix. Again, this guy, Ben really needs to work on hey, this vital piece of alien equipment. Maybe I should not be going around and breaking it all the time. Yeah, Tyler's not back yet. We also have Pixie Dust and Moustache in this episode. Which oh yeah. Oh, because I do remember this alien from when because we've watched a few of season 5. So yeah, I forgot that this was its first appearance as well in the series. So we have Pixie Dust and Moustache, which Moustache is, like his name states, is just a giant beaver mole thing. And also we have a cat. Oh my god. Yep, this is where we get introduced to the worst as well. Like, the worst? Seriously? And Ben knows that this was the weakest. Ben knows the weaknesses of his aliens, so he has the best chance of figuring out strategies against them. But yeah, seriously, the worst. We also have Siphon in this episode, who's trying to do quite possibly one of his biggest schemes here by sucking Bellwood into the null void, which is kind of interesting. I don't think we've seen that before, when we've actually had the actual town that Ben 10 takes place in trying to be sucked into the null void. But it turns out that phase 1 of the plan was a trap for the secondary force field to shut it off for the jailbreak. And those were really all my notes that I had about this episode. Again, not really much to say about it. Just a case of the villains are back and they're trying to fix their gadgets, and Ben and the group are trying to stop them. Now, this oh my god, next episode, Bulky and Dribum go to Mr. Smoothies. It does exactly what it says on the tin here, where we have Bulky and Dribum, who are part of Plumber HQ, but also part of Asmith Species. They want to go and try Mr. Smooth. That is literally all this episode. It's just these two going around Bellwood, just being like, "Hey, where can we get a Mr. Smoothie?" Ben is always talking about Mr. Smoothie. When are we going to get this Mr. Smoothie? Honestly, Ben and Rook really are more secondary of this episode, because they're more chasing Trump by Pulo, the elephant-like alien criminal from Ultimate Alien. They're just basically trying to figure out a way of trying to get this guy, whilst we're mostly focusing on Bulky and Dribum, trying to get them Mr. Smoothie. But the most interesting thing about this is that it's revealed that Bellwood has 23 Mr. Smoothies, but Ben only knew about 22. And by the end of the episode, after everything that they go through, because we have also grasshopper smoothies, seriously. And I just question, is Mr. Smoothies in Bellwood just the Starbucks of the Ben 10 universe? Because how many just keep popping up all the time. So yeah, Ben obviously has no fears of mice. No, he has a even weirder fear that I seriously did not question. And welcome back, Tyler. I
Thank you.
got through. Yeah, you were muted.
Yeah, because I had
I
I had a milk dog.
Yeah, you had a barking dog. So I talked about gone fishing and talked about how it's probably the worst episode of the season so far of the Omniverse season because nothing happened in that episode.
I mean, they went fishing. They almost got put into a bottle. We got the reintroduction of Ripjaws and a more prominent role for Magister Patellidae.
Yeah, I did mention those parts about it, but aside from that, there was really not much to go off with that episode, and I managed to get through talking about Outbreak, where the villains are trying to get the Nematrix working again, and how Simon. I think this is like the first time they've actually tried to. Hey, we've got the Null Void here. We've got Bellwood. Let's try and get Bellwood into the Null Void.
Mm-hmm. Did you mention about the 5 new aliens introduced?
Yeah, we have Pixie Dust, which I thought that this guy was first introduced way later on in the series, but also like we had Mustache, which is just a beaver mole, and then we have the worst, like seriously the worst.
I mean, he's an Atrocian.
He's atrocious, so I guess his name fits.
Yeah, his species name is Atrocian, so yeah. We also get the Ichthypyrambuloid Walkatrout.
Yeah, I didn't mention this guy, so you can mention him.
Basically, he's slippery.
Yeah, very, very slippery, like a banana peel.
And we also get from a sample from Liam, the chicken guy.
Oh yeah. This was one of the guys that I forgot. I totally skipped over Liam. How can I skip over Liam? Like Luke, you're part Irish, and Liam means Luke in Ireland. So how can you skip over Liam? But Liam, I do like Liam about how he's just like a small town crook, but like he's basically a giant chicken. He's basically Blaziken.
Yeah. And Ben gets a DNA sample of Liam, which allows him to transform into Kickenhawk.
Kickenhawk. Again, basically just Blaziken.
Yep. But not to mention, we got all like the small time villains. We got Liam, who transformed into partial Vaxus, who became a Vaxasaurian hybrid because from Dr. Psychobos tampering with the Omnitrix, it turned everybody in the Plumber Basin into alien hybrids.
Yeah. Which might have given them the idea for what essentially happens to another character later on. A character that I absolutely despise just as much as Argit and Pax. You know the one. You know the one.
Also, I believe this is like the first proper episode where Blue Kitchen Dreba actually takes center stage for once.
Yeah.
Or at least more than usual.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me double check on that.
Oh yeah. This was the episode that I was getting on to, Blue Kitchen Dreba, as well, with their episode about going to find a Mr. Smoothies.
Yep. Basically, Blue Kitchen Dreba are the dynamic duo of Galvins who may be smart for human standards, but they're actually kind of idiots.
Yeah, they're kind of like the human equivalent of the Galvins, if that makes sense. Basically, what Azimuth would probably think of if a human turned into a Galvin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I questioned, like, is Mr. Smoothies a bell? Is Mr. Smoothies like Starbucks, considering there's so many of them?
Yeah. I mean, apparently there's 22 Mr. Smoothie
locations. Oh no. There's 23.
Oh yeah, there's 23 Mr. Smoothie locations in the city of Bellwood. So
Yeah. And really, honestly, with this episode, the Ben and Rook are basically more pushed aside because they're trying to just catch Trombipula.
Yep, the elephant guy.
Yeah, and Ben has no fears of mice. No, as said, there's no. He has an even more questionable fear, which I will get to. But peanuts are the ultimate power that make Trombibula big, which makes sense because elephants typically love peanuts. And by the end of it all, it's Bukirk and Dreeball that actually saved the day, and they get their smoothies. They finally get their smoothies, and they deserve it after everything they go through in this episode. They deserve, like, you know what? Let's give these two goofballs a break. They deserve a smoothie.
Yep, I uh uh. Not to mention, this entire episode is just a giant reference to Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Yeah.
And this is like a very like stoner comedy uh uh style episode. Also, apparently this was the also in this episode it's revealed that Ben has a peanut allergy.
Yeah. I don't. But we haven't seen him like make any references to that before.
But apparently in this episode he does.
Yeah, maybe he developed it off screen, like the allergy.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, now we get episode 6, I believe, 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Episode 5, Malfactor, which has a hypnotic alien, and we have Ben being summoned for a festival, and he thinks it's going to be a lot of fun, but he didn't read the small print because it's all for charity. And Ben, if anyone has ever done charity work, it involves you being humiliated.
Yep, because Ben is now subject to is subject to a dunk tank.
Yeah, with kids, I believe voiced by the original Kevin.
Oh, hold on.
I swear the kids in this episode sound like young Kevin 11's voices.
He's not credited. Charlie Schlatter nor his original voice actor, I believe Michael Deja. Neither of them are credited in this episode. Apparently, it's Bumper Robinson and D. Bradley Baker.
But they do sound a lot like Kevin, like the original Kevin.
Yeah.
That's what made me think of it. Also, as well, we have Brainstorm's Omniverse debut. Now not voiced
by Corey Burton.
Yeah, and I did say this is one of my notes. I do prefer D. Bradley Baker's Brainstorm just because of his fluctuations.
Yeah, they definitely changed up Brainstorm. He's not like just dictionary vomiting words.
Which, but that's what made me love Brainstorm so much. He's dictionary vomiting words. Also in this episode, apparently we learned that Max is still a Magister, even though he claims to be retired. It's like he's one of those people who are like, I'm not back, even though you're totally back.
Yeah.
Just accept that you're going to be a Magister of Earth, Max, whether you want to or not.
Yep.
But amazingly, in this, malware survives being destroyed on a subcellular level somehow.
Yep, and because malware got blasted with a tachyon cannon.
Yeah.
Which apparently that weapon would also be devastating on the human race, considering they're.
It would probably just eradicate like anyone, any member of the human race it's hit on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
So,
while Ben
go
is
ahead.
fighting I'm sorry. When Ben is fighting malware, Kyber sneaks away with a little bit of DNA from a creature known as a Psycholeopteran, the predator of Necrophrygians, or big chill species.
Or, as I like to say, big chill. Yeah, and we can't forget every time Big Chill's mentioned, we have to mention that Ben 10 had male teen pregnancy. We've got to remember that, like Ben 10 as a kids franchise had male teen pregnancy. So yeah. Anyway, since Rook has spent a lot of time on Earth, it's now time we get to see what his own culture is like, because in Bros in Space, we essentially have Rook going home for his version of Christmas.
Yep. We see Rook's home planet of Ravana. As they are starting their fireworks show. When
we have Rook arriving with Ben, and this is where we actually find out that Rook is his last name and his first name is Blanco.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I do love like the contrast that we have here, because of what Ben has his own like version of like what Rook's all about, because Rook until this point has been like a very like by the books style no nonsense character. So to see people being like, wait, Brooke, he was a ladies' man, it's like, wait, Brooke was a ladies' man. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny to get that different contrast when you actually do meet his family.
Yeah. Because Rook's father, mainly Rook Daw, is very disapproving of
Rook's life choices, because he wanted him to be a farmer.
Really wanted him to stay in that good old family business.
Yeah, but Rook wanted to go out and explore the skies, explore the stars. Now we have to question the one thing about the dinner scene in this episode. Why do they have
back scratcher?
Yeah, why do they have back scratchers?
I don't know. Maybe after eating the Ogia, maybe your back gets really itchy.
Yeah. Amber is the delicacy on Rook's home planet.
Amber Ogia.
But it's amber. It's amber. So yeah. And one thing, Ben really needs to get out in the garden a lot more, because he shouldn't be disgusted by this very basic fact. Poo is a fertilizer.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've seen some of the stuff that Grandpa Max cooks, yet you're disgusted by a little poo.
Yeah, that is being used as a fertilizer. Like, that's something that I'm not disgusted by, because my mother's used horse manure before for gardening. So it's like that really shouldn't be like that disgusting. But by the end of this episode, Ben reminds Rook's family like they have bigger problems on Earth, and I had a joke here that I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to say now, because it's like too on the nose.
It's also in this episode where we get introduced to the Muroids, which are giant rodent armadillo-like creatures that try to take their Amber Ogia.
Yeah, because everybody wants the amber.
Yep. Yet they're surprisingly organized for what is considered to be just wild giant rats. But it turns out they're being trained by Fishtrick.
Of course they are. But yeah, I feel like with the Muroids as well, they kind of like have an hive mind about them as well. Because otherwise they wouldn't be that organized if they didn't have like a single hive mind of what they all want to achieve and achieving their goal.
Possible.
Yeah,
But I think
but
that's just mostly Fishtrick's influence because they were collecting all the Amber Olgia not to consume, but uh, but I believe it was to like I think he was like powering a machine of sorts.
possibly.
I uh
But yeah, that was really all I had about this episode, except for the fact that we get also introduced to Brooke's younger brother as well, who really idolizes Ben. He really idolizes him.
yeah, actually put a pin in that for the young one, because that will actually become important later.
Okay, but yeah, he views Ben as his hero essentially. He's kind of like the Rook family equivalent of Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And apparently he has a TV show all about him. That is very that young one really likes.
yeah, which might be which I'm surprised they didn't. I'm surprised they did not make a reference to the classic series of with the theme song, like by having the theme song for the classic series come in this episode.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. So anyway, Arrested Development, episode 7 of season 2. Yeah, where we have young Ben and young Rook, and it's revealed in this episode that Rook's species is kind of like I want to say weird with their tails.
Yeah, basically, it's revealed that young Ravonaganders have tails until they hit puberty.
So, so it's so I guess the tail is basically the equivalent of their balls dropping, essentially.
Sure. But we also meet a new villain in this episode called Billy Billions.
And you want to know how unimportant Billy Billions is? Not even Ben could remember him. That's how so unimportant Billy is.
And like, basically, his whole shtick is that like, he ended up stuck in Dimension 12, which is a timeless place. So he was stuck. He's stuck as an 11-year-old forever.
Mm-hmm. So he's basically the human equivalent of Albedo. But the other note that that I have to take away from this episode, because I only really had 3 notes: annoying kid attacking Ben, Billy and someone important that even Ben couldn't remember him. It's Ben's fear. Ben is scared of peacocks. Why? Do we ever get an answer to that, like why Ben is scared of peacocks?
Don't believe so.
Yeah, so that would be like if I could meet like the Man of Action team and ask them that one question about Ben 10, it would be that, like, why is Ben scared of peacocks?
Well, that episode wasn't written by anyone of the Man of Action team. In fact, who wrote this episode? Len Hooley.
Oh my. Okay, I would want to ask him that, like, him that, like, why is Ben scared of peacocks? Like, is it because of the eyes on their feathers? Is that why it is? Like, he's got all eyes watching him? Is that it? Yeah. But now it's time for that episode. You know the one. It's the one that that was so infuriating that it made me question Ben as a character.
Rules of engagement. Basically, in this episode, we learn why Ben and Julie had broken up. So
it is probably one of the stupidest things ever. Go on, Tyler.
So Ben's playing a video game while talking with Julie on the phone, and he ends up like shouting at the game, which Julie construes as Ben shouting at her.
Yep, and that's what causes them to break up. Which made me split hairs. I did all my anger, like I think all my anger came out when we were watching this episode, because these are the notes that I had. Like, hey Ben, have you ever heard of a pause button? Why couldn't Ben pause the game?
Maybe he was in an online game. Like,
okay, well, has he ever heard of, like, hi Julie, I'm a little bit busy at the moment, so can you call me back in a minute? That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. Literally, what the hell, Ben? What the hell?
Yeah, like,
I mean, if they didn't want Julie and Ben to work out, it's like they could have done so easy with it. Like, and I did have my notes here, like, how are you doing, Julie? Sorry we couldn't work it out. And then Julie saying, it's fine, Ben, to be honest, it was probably for the best. You're off-world and I want to focus on my tennis career. That is literally all they could have done.
yeah.
It would have made sense. It would have been like contrived. Because Ben's off saving the world. Julie wants to focus on her own career. They don't have time for a relationship, so it's like, maybe we should just be friends.
Yeah. I will. This is like one of the things that, like, I've honestly, to be fair, Ben and Julie's relationship has been going downhill since Ultimate Alien.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Julie should have really been part of the main group. She has Ship with her,
who we do get the return of.
Yes, which was very nice. Very nice to see Shippy again. Again, we need to ask, where can we get one ourselves?
And now Julie's dating a French guy named Hervé. Which, fun fact, voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, he apparently can speak fluently in French.
So I'm curious now. Did Yuri do the French dub for Ben 10?
Probably not.
Okay. I did have a funny note here where I'm like, Julie, this is no time to be putting on the dog when Julie goes ship battle mode. She literally puts on her dog.
Yeah.
We also have Esther in this episode and Luma.
Yep. So basically, we have Luma coming to take Ben as her husband, which, honestly, mostly from the fact that, like, Luma mentioned that, like, her father is loaded. Am I the only one who wouldn't mind being?
Well, it depends. Do you want to be do you want to have your body crushed by Luma.
I don't think you want me to answer that question.
I know some. I think I've got someone in mind that I know exactly who would want to be crushed by Luma. You know who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but think about it like this in the context of Ben. Luma is a warrior princess, has an entire army at her beck and call, and even disregarding the army, she's a powerhouse. Also, keep in mind that female Tetramans are traditionally stronger than their male counterparts.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Okay, I need to quickly go, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. So,
Okay, I'll continue on.
yeah, those were all my notes aside from Luma getting defeated by Julie.
But yeah, in this episode, Luma is just trying to gather wedding favors for the big ceremony. Julie actually defeats Luma, and this breaks off the engagement. But it ends off with Ben and Julie staying as friends as she walks off with Hervé. Oh yeah, there's also the character Festina in this episode who has a weird crush on Rook. I mean, not too weird. I mean, hey, the people in Ravana's, the ladies on Ravana seem to like Rook. But Ben walks off with Esther. As Sheila wouldn't mind some Mr. Smoothies. I wonder how Ben feels about Elastic Girl from The Incredibles. But now for the finale of season 2, Showdown, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So yeah, with the finale of season 2, we have there's the biggest predator that Galvin's couldn't defeat, and we also have malware turning 2 of upgrades racing stone or killing them, one or the other. Yeah. And this is something that I find interesting. Ben, I think in this episode, it might have been confirmed that Ben might be partly autistic because he's always fiddling around when he's bored.
Yeah, like we see this partially because I remember, I think it was what are little girls made of, where we see him just like clicking the locks on Kevin's car door.
Yeah, just because he's like bored or agitated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is where we also get feedback as well, and what I alluded to at the beginning of the video, that feedback was never used in the classic series. Yet it was. Yet Ben is acting like he always used it, unlike Forearms or Heat Blast. That I feel like is a big problem with feedback, of just like, oh, I've always used them. Like, Ben, you never used them in the classic series.
Well, that's probably because he didn't have them in the classic series.
I know, but still, he's acting like he was part of the classic lineup, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole idea about this episode is that Ben was so reliant on feedback that it backfired in a big way, to the point that malware rips feedback from the Omnitrix, and it was always about the idea of like Ben don't put all your eggs in one basket because you're always using feedback. Because you know what that reminds me of?
What?
In the early days of Pokemon, where you would just have the Pokemon and they would just have damage, like in Generation 1 and possibly 2, where people would just use like, oh, we've got Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. We're just going to rely on Charizard. We're just going to have Flamethrower, basically all fire moves without having the non-damaging moves.
Yeah, or like, uh, or like the young kids who play Pokemon and just blaze through with their starter, which uh uh I actually got this idea from watching an Ink Tank video rewriting the -10.
Yeah.
Granted, this is fully thanks to the power of hindsight.
Oh, absolutely. It would be at this point.
What if instead of so you know the final scene where Upchuck absorbs, well, basically eats the sub energy?
Yeah.
What if instead of Upchuck it was feedback, and that's
Ooh.
why young Ben uses him a lot, because he
Oh, that could work. That could work.
Yeah, so hey, if we ever decide to do a Ben 10 rewrite.
Yeah, that would be something we could look into. But the way that malware gets defeated the first time in this finale is literally by overeating on alien DNA. And when I saw that, I was like, that reminds me of a certain villain that I hate from Power Rangers Mystic Force that I am not going to mention because I hate him that much. But this is also where we lose Galvan B because of malware as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, we see Zed transform into the Galvan's natural predator, the Omniverse, from its skeletal from collecting a sample of its skeletal remains. And forgot to mention this when we were talking about predators and prey. We also get the natural predator of Vaxasaurians, Humongosaurus species, the Tyrannopede.
Yeah, I've got to say that is a pretty creative name, if I must say.
Yeah.
But we also have we also have Max. They're at such a desperate state at this point that we need Gwen and Kevin back for the finale to help out.
Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention. For some reason, Kyber also had the DNA of a cerebral crustacean in there. A cerebral crustacean's natural predator, the Vicetopus.
Vicetopus. Yeah, for some reason he does. I did have this note here of compared to Rook's Pie, Gwen is an orangutan. With this finale as well, we have Galvin Prime essentially being a planet computer with the fire walls, which makes sense that Galvin Prime would literally be just a giant computer. Yeah. And also, Way Big literally steps on malware.
Yeah, until he grows to become a freaking kaiju.
Yeah, which the only way, which the only way they can, I assume the only way that they defeat him is that malware absorbs Ben, sending him into a flash. Like, is it like a virus that beats malware?
Okay, so what beats malware is that Ben gets absorbed into malware while as Way Big. Ben has a dream. Well, Ben is unconscious while inside malware as he watches what kind of was like the aftermath of of 11-year-old Ben losing feedback.
Yeah.
And it's here where Asmith says that you don't learn anything by winning.
No, you always learn from your mistakes.
And this is and 16-year-old Ben comes to the realization that, hey, what happened, and we can't change that. And he learns to forgive himself, and we get the return of feedback.
Yeah, so feedback is finally back in the Omnitrix, which, if people saw this in Eric Order, would have had that spoiled.
Yeah. And thanks to the power of by plugging himself into one of the helixes that was used to create the mechamorphs, feedback is able to just to defeat malware once and for all.
Yeah. So malware, pretty interesting villain. Like I said, and really a legitimate threat at times.
Yeah, like honestly, I'd say malware is one of my favorite antagonists of all time in the Ben 10 series.
He might be up there for me as well.
Oh, and another thing to mention is that Kevin adopts Kyber's dog.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's nice that for said he finally got a new owner.
She actually, Zed's a girl.
Wait, Zed's a girl?
Yeah, Zed's a girl.
Yeah, I know. I had that as one of my notes, but I just had to play that up for a bit. And of course, we have upgrade species rebuilding Galvin B. You see,
Yep.
this is like the confirmation of like, okay, yeah, it was definitely destroyed, but now it's being rebuilt. Unlike the questionable nature of So Long and Thanks for All the Smoothies. But yeah, before we get into season 3, we have the Secret Saturday crossover.
Yep, TGIS, aka the crossover doomed to fail.
Yeah, and by the way, Secret Saturday was one of the series that we had on the list to watch after Avatar, but it didn't win. It was Gravity Falls that won.
Yep. So after Ben 10, we'll be doing Avatar. After Avatar, Gravity Falls. Which, hey, it should be a nice shorter series for us to do.
Yeah, and Avatar will be shorter as well compared to the Ben 10 franchise.
We still haven't even done the reboot yet.
Yeah. Oh my god, I've seen how many episodes there are in the reboot. It's insane. And that is going to be one that we're probably going to have to split up into just like talking about each individual season. So yeah. So yeah, I did like the Secret Saturday crossover somewhat, but I felt like it's really one of those crossovers that I would probably like more if I knew more about the Secret Saturdays as a show.
Yeah, like though according to like to like a fan of the Secret Saturdays, like this, it kind of goes against like everything in the finale.
Yeah, well, that's something cool. If we do eventually get to Secret Saturday, that's something I feel like what we should do is do talk about it now, and then when we do like eventually talk about Secret Saturday, we come back to this episode, watch it again, and see what people mean about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the episode I thought was fine.
Yeah. It was nice that we got Animo as the antagonist because it was Chupacabra, so of course he would be the antagonist.
Yeah, as well as a antagonist from the Secret Saturdays, Vivi Argost. It I will say this did help get my interest in the Secret Saturdays because mainly helps that I've been like getting into more like studying cryptids because I have been trying to write a Power Rangers campaign that's like all about cryptids,
Yep.
which I just realized I'm gonna have to like try to make a distinction between cryptids, aliens, and monsters.
You could just. I have faith in you. I have faith in you, Tyler, that you'll be able to. That you'll be able to do it.
Thanks.
Yeah. But my other note for this episode was Ben being a simp for Dawn Saturday.
Drew Saturday.
Oh, it was Drew Saturday. Oh, I thought it was Dawn Saturday. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, and also the meta humor about missing favorite shows because of real life. We've all been there.
Yeah. When I say, and I wanted to elaborate on what I meant by saying this crossover was meant to fail. Well, when I say that, I specifically mean that like this got like 0 advertisements, and it aired in 2013 when the Secret Saturdays ended in 2010.
So yeah, because it ended like this crossover came like years after Secret Saturdays ended, didn't it?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they have had this like during Ultimate Alien?
That's a damn good question. Not to mention the person who wrote the episode, like no dissing Joel Stelner. I'm sure like they did the best they could, but like they had only written like 1 episode of the Secret Saturdays.
Right.
And this was their one and only episode for Ben 10 as well.
I see. So it's kind of like they didn't really know kind of like the franchises, both franchises.
Yeah, like
so I can see why it was doomed to fail. But oh, by the way, there was one note that I forgot about the showdown finale. Pac-Man has 487 children and is complaining to Max. He has so many kids. It's like, how does he keep track of them?
Pac-Mar fucks.
Pac-Man Fox, yeah. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this note right now. Rentaro from 100 Girlfriends, you've got to match Pac-Man. You've got to match Pac-Man if you want to get the ultimate Riz. I had to make that reference. But yeah, so honestly, yeah, not much to say about the Secret Side, and I feel like because it was just like a standard length, there wasn't really much to go off it unlike other crossovers.
Yeah, especially the Generator Rex crossover, which set a pretty damn high bar.
Yeah, it did. It really did. But yeah, anyway, now with Malware out of the way, his arc complete, we now get on to Season 3, which starts the Frogs of War arc.
Yep, with Episode 2, Tummy Trouble.
Yep, Tummy Trouble, which has Upchuck eating a tiger.
Yep, because that tiger is being controlled by a new villain, Nancy Chan, who can control cats.
Yeah. Meow. And of course, as the arc's name suggests, it's about the Frog Empire. So we have Athena back, Princess Athena. Atea. And we have Upchuck species basically debating with each other, and we have to question what's worse, burps or fart jokes.
That's a good question. They're both bad. So Ben and Rook take a good old trip to the home planet of Upchuck and his species, the Gormons, Peptos 11, where we learn that there are 2 subspecies of the Gormons, the Mercs and the Perks. And apparently, they had their the incursion stole their queen. So now the two generals are debating, like, do we go with Plan Omega, or do we try to save the queen?
And yeah, so so we also have a lot of food puns in this episode, too many to be exact. But one thing is quite funny about this episode, where we have the queen who literally just tried to thwart a Taya.
Yeah, I mean, her name is Voratio Rumbletum.
Maybe that's where the title comes from Tummy Troubles, Rumbleton.
Also, apparently the Merc and Perk commanders that are like one step below Queen Rumbletum are named Commander Cast Iron and Commander Cookmeister.
Which I can't decide if those are brilliant names or just lazy names.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but but yeah, we also have upchuck species starting to eat the planet, which causes the frogs to escape. And I've got a question: when Ben transforms into upchuck, what would feasting be like for him?
What would eating be like for him?
Yeah, like when he's upchuck, like what would that be like for him internally?
I mean, it's also confirmed in this episode that the gourmands have all share like a pocket dimension stomach. I imagine it's just like eating anything else.
Yeah, possibly. So and also we have Ataya bullshitting to her father again, because that's what she's always like. But this is where we also get the subtle mention of Plan Omega, which will come into play in the finale.
Plan Omega is when the incursions eat the planet.
Oh, what? It wasn't the plan for what's going to happen in the season 3 finale.
No.
I thought it was. I thought it was for a second then.
No worries.
All right. But yeah, that was all I had for Tummy Trouble. Yeah. So now we have Store 23, which is gotta be one of the most I want to say annoying episodes, because of the fact that this is the episode that spoils the twist about feedback.
Oh yeah, because initially this episode aired before Showdown.
Yeah, and this is where we also get the infamous Mr. Smoothie Store 23.
Yep.
Because
and funnily enough, overall, this is episode 23 of Omniverse.
Oh, that had to have been intentional.
It had to have been.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason why Ben has been unable to locate Store 23 is because it keeps keeps on crossing over crossing over into Dimension 23.
Yeah. Basically, the 23rd Mr. Smoothie is like existing in is like constantly popping in and out of multiple dimensions.
Yeah. And the most common one, as I said, was Dimension 23, where we get introduced to Ben 23, which is a younger Ben, voiced again by Tara Strong. But here's a question. If Vilgax, because Vilgax is revealed not to have existed in Dimension 23, how did I guess we could call it Tara Ben, how did Tara Ben get the Omnitrix, and for what purpose?
Good question. I mean, it could be possible that Vilgax exists in Dimension 23, but maybe he just hasn't met Vilgax.
Maybe, but this is also a way to establish Ben in the role that Ben 10,000 has, because Ben 23 is basically what Ben would be like with the Omnitrix if Max wasn't in the picture, and this is why Max is best character. Because
I've actually heard a theory that like, that Max was around when Ben 23 first got the Omnitrix, but like around the time of like Secrets in the classic series, that episode,
right,
basically Grandpa Max sacrificed himself to take out Vilgax.
Ooh, ouch, that's dark.
Yeah, but then again, it's just a theory.
It's a film theory, if you will. So yeah, the whole idea about Ben 23 is that he's much more cocky and arrogant than younger Ben was, and he doesn't want he wants to suck up all the fame of being a hero without having to do any of like the big hero works. And Ben 23 sucks, the Dimension 23 sucks, and Ben 23 has lame names for his aliens.
Yeah, like he calls Arctiguana Freeze Lizard. He calls Cannonbolt Rollaway. He calls Heat Blast Charcoal Man.
It's basically like the most they took like Ben 23 and thought like, okay, what would be. It's like they had a list of like all the names that kids have given for these aliens, and just like, okay, slap that on Heat Blast, slap that on Cannonbolt, slap that on Aquatara, however you pronounce it. Artiguana. Yeah. So it's kind of like that with them. But yeah, Ben 23 just sucks, and thank God he's only in this one episode.
He does reappear.
Thank God he's only in this one episode.
Look, he's in more episodes than Pax, so you...
No!
Would you rather deal with more Ben 23 or more Pax?
Oh God, don't make me choose. Don't make me choose.
I'm making you choose, God damn it.
I'd rather more Ben 23. Oh God. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about Store 23. Speaking of Vilgax, we finally get an update with him. His Omniverse debut in Vilgax Must Croak.
Now being voiced by Steve Bloom again.
Yep, he finally returns to voice the character. So we have on his way to being escorted to prison. His ship is attacked by Atea and the Frog Warriors. And of course, this episode forces Ben to actually team up with Vilgax. With Vilgax being like, "Oh yeah, I'm innocent throughout all of this." And Ben obviously naturally Ben not believing Vilgax until Atea shows up. But what I do love about this is that Atea's nerves get hit here by Ben suggesting like, hey, if someone kisses her, would she become a princess then? A reference to the frog and the princess story.
Yeah. It's also here where we meet 8-8. Relative of 6-6 and 7-7, which
I've got to say, again, not the most creative of names.
Yeah, just honestly, why?
Why? Yeah, I don't know why. But one thing I had about this episode is like, well, Vilgax actually saved Ben from Atea's blast. But of course, it's Vilgax, so it's only a matter of time before he's like, okay, I can finally get away from all of this. And Vilgax escapes at the end of this episode.
Yep. It's also worth noting that Emperor Milius tries to invade Vilgaxia, Vilgax's home planet, but is actually unsuccessful even without Vilgax there.
Yeah, it shows that the Vilgaxes can actually fend for themselves.
Oh yeah, we also get the introduction of Hobble Grovel, who is a member of the Alpha Squad and a giant scaredy cat.
Of course, you have to always have that one scaredy cat.
And for some reason, he's a part of the Alpha Squad.
Well, you're always going to have that one person in a squad that's people question, like, why is this guy even here?
Yeah, and apparently he joined the Alpha. He became part of the Alpha Squad because of his marksman abilities, but like,
Really?
we never see him hold a gun.
Huh. Weird. So yeah, it was nice that we got Vilgax back after so long. How many episodes has it been since we've last seen Vilgax?
Well, we last saw him in Ultimate Enemy Part 2. So let's see. There's been 10, 20, 33 episodes.
Yeah, wow, that has been quite a while.
I mean, to be fair, I think the gap between Vilgax and Classic and Vilgax and Alien Force was longer.
Yeah, it might have actually been. Now that I think about it. So yeah, we have Vilgax back, and now we're on to my favorite episode of Omniverse so far, Ben again. For one reason and one reason only.
Paradox.
We get Paradox. Okay.
In addition to Paradox, we also get the return of Eon.
Yeah, Eon from the live action films, he finally makes his canon appearance in the series.
He made his appearance, but don't you remember when Ben 10,000 returns?
Oh yeah. He made his appearance there as well. Yeah. But yeah, still Paradox. But Paradox's return is kind of like tainted a little bit because we have wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff with young Ben and Teen Ben swapping bodies. So we get young Ben in Teen Ben's body when him and Gwen are besties, and we get the return of the whole doofus dork banter with Ben and Gwen, which I know a lot of people absolutely love and wanted to see more of again.
Oh yeah, but we also get to see young Ben and Teen Ben and young Ben's body, and Gwen used to the bickering, now having to deal with Ben being nice.
Yeah, which she finds weird. Yeah, but this is also, I believe, referencing something that's going to come up later: the Time War.
Yeah.
Just put a pin in it. We'll put a pin in it. But yeah, the Time War is not a Doctor Who reference, which it probably most likely was.
Yeah. So basically, Eon is basically trying to enslave all of time, and he needs Eon. He needs Paradox's Chrono Navigator to do so. Which has been disguised as his prosthetic arm. Meanwhile, in present day, we have Rook, Ben, and Gwen going on a little scavenger hunt.
Yeah, because older Gwen remembers something from the past that she was told to, she was instructed to go to at an exact moment.
Yeah. We see that also happen in the past where present Ben tells past Gwen that 5 years later, to the day, take him to Mr. Smoothies.
And I do love that, like, we get that callback to young Ben not liking Mr. Smoothies when it's mentioned, like, Mr. Smoothies? Bleh. I still want to know the story behind that. Like, what made Ben change his mind about Mr. Smoothies?
My theory's gonna come into play a little bit later.
Okay.
I think he really liked the grape flavor.
Okay.
You'll see why I say that, like, later on. But, so in the present, we at Mr. Smoothies, Ben, that begins their scavenger hunt, which takes them to Pac-Mar's new business venture in a tea shop, where it all gets destroyed. Then we have a little montage. And then it turns out the treasure they're looking for is not at the end of their scavenger hunt, but at the beginning of the treasure hunt.
Yep.
Because no one would look for treasure at the start of a treasure map.
Yeah, so it's basically like that. Oh, you have got to be fucking kidding me! It's right back where we started!
Yep. It's also in this episode where where Clockwork gets unlocked in young Ben's Omnitrix, and that's how they defeat Eon.
Yeah, and I've just got to say, Paradox was fighting. Guys, Paradox was fighting!
He was fighting.
Yeah. And even though Paradox warns Ian about ripping up the timelines, he still tries to go through it anyway. But all is said and done, the timelines are repaired, and of course the Bens don't remember this.
And then Ben 10,000 comes in through a portal.
Warning us about the Chrono Sapien time war.
Yep. And a being known as Maltruant.
Which is, I assume, is going to play a part later on.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. But yes, like I said, favorite episode just because we got to see Paradox again, and I was so happy because I had to like keep going on the wiki to find out what the episodes were in order. So a few of the pictures that they used for this kind of spoiled it. But the fact that I didn't see Paradox in the Ben again wiki picture, that didn't spoil it for me. So I was legitimately, Tyler saw my legitimate uncensored reaction to Paradox appearing again.
Yep.
It was a fan squee. It was like, oh my god, I love Paradox.
He is like one of the greatest additions that Alien Force has given us to the Ben 10 series.
Yes, and I wish they'd used him so much more. I really would. If there's one character that deserves more screen time, it's Paradox.
I only partially agree, because I feel like what makes Paradox work is the fact that he's seldom used. So it makes whenever he shows up all the more important.
Yeah.
Like, he was there for the Hybrid War.
Yes,
he was there to help.
And that's what makes the Hybrid War, War of the Worlds, like my all-time favorite Ben 10 episode.
Because Paradox was there.
Yeah, but Paradox was there. Everyone was there to help end the war, but this might actually be a close second.
Fair. So let me guess. Paradox was in your favorite episode of Ultimate Alien as well?
Yes, he was.
Of course he was.
I mean, how can he not? Can you blame me?
No, I can't.
Yeah. But yeah, so love Paradox. Was glad that he was in this episode, and really, really looking forward to what's coming up later on. But yeah, so now we have special delivery, which is essentially the Ben destroying Mr. Bellman's car episode. And unlike Kevin, Mr. Bellman doesn't take any of Ben's crap.
Yep, and
But one
makes
thing,
him work to pay it off.
yeah, he makes it work and pay him off. But one thing I have to question is Mr. Bellman's car gets cut in half because of ice and hot chocolate. How does that work?
Ice and a hot chocolate?
Yeah, that was literally my note. Mr. Bellman's car gets cut in half because of ice and hot chocolate. How does that work?
Good question.
Yeah.
And we also see that, like, this has been happening to Mr. Bauman since Ben was 5 years old.
You'd figure by that point Mr. Bellman would just put his car in a garage.
Or get a restraining order.
Yeah, or better yet, sell the car. Because it would save him money. That was one of my other notes, because we also have Packmar in this episode, and him and Mr. Bellman should really sue Ben at this point.
I would love to see that episode. Packmar and Mr. Bauman team up and sue the pants off of Ben.
Yeah, because with all the collateral damage that he's done to them, they have a case. They really do have a case. But also as well, we have Siphon in this episode auditioning, with the prize being a dwarf hole.
A dwarf star.
Dwarf star, sorry. Dwarf star. And we have some Bozo in this episode.
Yeah, because he, Fistrick, and Trombipular are all after the Dwarf Star. But it turns out that the Dwarf Star got swapped for some goldfish.
I do love this. I do love this. This note that I had, because there was also in a flashback where Mr. Bellman's truck gets flung into space, and even 5 years later, it's still floating in space. No one ever thought to bring it down.
Except then it came plummeting down and destroyed his house.
Yes, it came down, destroyed his house, and I'm just like, you would have thought that someone would have been like, "Why is that truck there? Maybe we should get rid of it."
Yeah.
In the 5 years that no one ever bothered to figure out, like, why is there a truck just circling around the Earth?
I don't know.
Yeah, but in this episode we have not the -10, but the -8. Because I had to count, like, how many of villains were going after Ben in this episode, and there was 8 of them.
Oh wait, there was Siphon, Zombozo, Fistrick, Trombipular, Seebic, the Vreedles,
Which count as 2.
Volcanus, Sunder.
Oh! Well, I guess the -9 then.
But also, says right here that there was also some do we count just the nameless ones?
No, we don't. We don't count the nameless ones.
Okay. So this. Yeah, because it also says right here, making Omniverse debuts. We got Inspector 13. And Darkstar.
I don't remember Darkstar being in this episode.
Yeah, neither do I. Let me take a look.
Yeah, you take a look. But and I'll just say my other notes. So we have So we have Somboso, who probably got fired right away from the school cafeteria because of just how creepy he is, and Cypher not understanding deals, but Ben alters the deal, and this is where we also have Cypher actually taking the Dwarf Star's power, but new alien with ugly face power defeats Siphon.
Yep, that being Topic.
Yeah, Andy really does have an ugly face. I'm sorry. I don't care what people say. That is an ugly face.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the face is only seen in concept art. For those that don't know, basically Topic's entire face is just like 2 eye stalks, and the rest is just mush.
Yeah, it's probably just an ugly face. But you've sent me concept art of like what the face actually looks like.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I said new alien with ugly face power defeats Siphon, and of course, like we said at the earlier on, Mr. Bellman's truck destroys his house, and it's just Tennyson.
Yep. I wish the episode would have ended on a nicer note for Mr. Bauman.
Yeah, it's like, what did he ever do to this server? Oh wait, you're going forward for Ben 10.
Also, apparently his first name is Ignatius.
Okay, that's what was wrong with him. That name.
What's wrong with the name Ignatius?
It's just so weird.
Well, maybe you're weird.
I know I'm weird, but at least I have a normal, average name.
Anyways, on to episode 6, Rad.
Which is just, which is the dying planet episode.
Yep. Basically, some plumbers got stranded on a planet known as Terminus 3, with that has an unbreathable atmosphere. And is in incursion space. So it's up to Ben and Rook with the help of Rad Dudesman to save the stranded plumbers.
Yeah, and of course, Rad, everyone's terrified of him, despite the fact he's a duck.
He's a blue duck that is like 5 feet tall.
Yeah. Why is everyone afraid of this guy? But this is where we have the return of one of the worst characters in Pax.
If it makes you feel better, this is his last episode.
Oh, thank God for that. Again, why did he have? Why was Pax needed?
For a joke that went on too long, because in addition to getting to Terminus 3, they also have to take a creature known as a Grackleflint with them, whose venom, while still fresh, can cure the toxic air.
Yeah. And Pax lets the crowfish out of its cage for some reason, and this is why no one likes hippies mixed with pizza, which is what Pax is.
Hippies and pizza?
Pizza.
Pizza. I thought you said pizza for a second.
Well, no, it's funny. It's funny because when we watch Jungle Fury tomorrow, you'll have a pizza with pizza reference. Yeah, we'll get to that. You'll understand that when we get to it. But yeah, Pax's inclusion in this episode is one of just the worst things ever because he's worse than Arjit. And yes, I've said that, and that makes me throw up in my mouth. The fact that I prefer Arjit to Pax. This episode redeems itself because we get the first reappearance since the original series of Eye Guy.
Yep. Who immediately gets venom in his eyes.
Yeah, his beautiful eyes.
But it turns out that the Grackle Flint really likes some seeds off the back of packs. So they use the seeds to lure him into a box so he can then be safely transported to Terminus 3.
Mm-hmm.
Until they get tangled with the incursions.
Yes, until they get tangled with the incursions. And Rad Prophet, and also I do like how throughout this episode Rad keeps saying like, oh, Prophet is my middle name, no, Danger's my middle name, no, Trouble's my middle name, and it turns out all three of them are his actual middle name: Rad, Prophet, Danger, Trouble, Dudesman. Which are RPDTD.
Yep.
Yeah. So, honestly, that's all I had on the notes for this episode.
Yeah. I also like that what helped them get away from the incursions was just Pax sticking the Crackle Flint.
Yes.
So you get one Pax.
You get one Pax. You get one, but that's all you're getting. And now you can get out of the series. And speaking of the incursions, we move on to episode 8, While You Were Away, where we're back on Rook's home planet, which is being invaded by an army of incursions who are like, join with us, join with us, join with us. And this is where Young One goes to find Ben and Rook because he really doesn't have anyone else to turn to.
Yep, because Atea joined up with Dr. Psychobos to create a mind control serum with the Ambrosia.
Yeah. However, this is another problem with the airing order. The fact that Ben mentions Rad Duzman despite this episode airing before Rad's debut in airing order just makes it all the more, because this episode aired before the Rad episode.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It airs before the Rad episode. That was my note. It just makes it more annoying for the airing episodes because you're gonna confuse people.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, Psychopsis is back and he's working with the incursion. But I do like the ship Young One is made out of farming equipment, including coat hangers.
Yep. I think it comes from the mecha harvesters that Fistrick used in Bros in Space too.
Yeah, more than likely. So it's also revealed that there's new pipes on Rifona, and everyone is under mind control because of the Amber Ogia, and this is where we also get introduced to one of Ben's. I would say this is probably out of all the new aliens, this is one that he uses a lot of. Astrodactyl.
Yep, which is basically a replacement for Jet Ray because, fun fact, Jet Ray does not appear in this series.
Why?
I think it's because Derek J. Wyatt couldn't figure out how to put clothes on him.
Huh. Weird.
Actually, let me look into that.
Yeah. So we have a nice by the end of this episode, we have a nice character moment for Rook's family, where we have his sister wants to be a plumber and young one wants to see the stars. So I wonder, are they going to actually follow through on that, like with Shard actually being a plumber?
I mean, yeah. I believe we do have another episode with Rook's family.
Yeah. Because most of his family I do like, aside from his father being a bit like traditional.
But he does come around to the fact that Rook's a plumber.
Yeah,
and that he's doing a lot of good work.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of good work. But at the end of this episode, we have the incursions heading straight for Earth, which will lead us into the season 3 finale, Frog of Wars. No relation to War of the Worlds, even though it clearly is meant to be War of the Worlds, the diet edition. Because again, like it really does try to capture that like lightning in a bottle that they got. Because it's, but the problem here is that we had 2 seasons with the DNA aliens building up to the War of the Worlds finale. Like it was all leading to that finale, like big invasion of Earth. Whereas this one, it's just kind of like, well, we've got to cram everything into this one season. And I really wish they had gotten like a lot more characters for this episode that I actually like. We could have. Do we see Alan at all in this season?
We do see see Alan, just not yet.
Yeah, so you really think you really could have gone like the Max Force? Like, I'm still calling them that, like the Max Force, to help deal with the incursions. Instead, we have to deal with. So we got rid of Pax, which is great, but now we're getting reintroduced to another infuriating douche canoe, Will Harrigan.
Harangue.
I'm calling him. I'm deliberately calling him by an intentionally wrong name because he does not deserve to be called by his real name.
But yeah, we get reintroduced to Will Harangue because Ben is having some trouble calming down the people of Earth, because now they know aliens have been existing underneath their very feet in Undertown.
Which shouldn't be that surprising, because they know that aliens have come to Earth before. Like, this should not be a surprise to anyone.
Also, Ben accidentally activated the randomizer function on the Omnitrix. Why does the Omnitrix have a randomizer function?
Why, Asmith? Why would you even include that?
Also, a little side note. According to so the reason for Jet Ray's exclusion is because Derek J. White didn't know how to put clothes on him.
Seriously? Oh my god! That is just like a lame excuse. I'm sorry, that is one of the lamest excuses ever. And also we have the Asmith goofballs fitting in with the Omnitrix, so that it has so the transformations are shorter now. But this is where we also see Max getting proper angry for the first. Like, we've seen him get annoyed at Ben and Gwen before, but we've never seen him like get this angry. So you know that shit is about to hit the fan here. Because this is a 2-parter, we have to establish that Ben is going to get banished from Earth, because that's the whole idea. Like, okay, we will stop the invasion if Ben is banished.
They keep going with the invasion regardless.
Yeah, even though they keep going with the... And you want to know why Will is so insufferable as a character? Is that he is a complete hypocrite. It's like, Ben is a menace to the entire city, but these incursions, they're the good guys, even though they're a complete menace to the entire world. So yeah, but go ahead.
Pretty sure that's the entire point.
It still doesn't excuse the fact that is just annoying on his part. So by the end of the first part, Ben is banished, and Will deserves to be punched in the face for rejoicing in that. So with part 2, 1 month has passed, and the invasion has happened by the incursions, where we now have Rook having to team up with Gwen, Kevin,
and
nope, it's just Gwen and Kevin.
Yeah,
Okay, Argent as well. I guess Argent can be here. I mean, you're better than Will. You're better than Will, Argent. Can't believe I've said that. But yeah, they're the last line of defense against the incursions, which, by the way, they destroy Mr. Smoothie. You can't destroy Mr. Smoothie.
Yeah. It also turns out that Argent ratted out Gwen, Kevin, and Rook to the incursions.
Yeah, he had a good plan, and he instantly ruined it. You see why I don't like you, Argent? But it turns out that we also have a traitor in the ranks of the incursions with Bolfrak. But as it turns out, Bolfrak was Ben all along.
Yep. Using a function called the lifeform lock, which keeps him as a specific alien without allowing him to change back. Which is which I think is a good function to have, considering that the Omnitrix's initial purpose was to walk a mile in another alien's shoes.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sending you some concept art for what Jet Ray and Omniverse would have looked like.
That's pretty cool. I mean, okay. Lose the weird like semi bondage strap on him. Like if they took out like the keep the shoulder straps, but take out like the body strap. That's connected to the Omnitrix, and that would look good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. But anyway, now we have Ben flirting with Taya with weird 80s porno music as well. That's so like weirdly gross that even Kevin is grossed out by this.
But Bullfrag's like, hey, don't blame me. Blame the DNA.
Yeah, blame the DNA. And now and we have Asmith showing up and saving Ben. And this is why I call this like the Deus Ex the War of the Worlds diet version, because with War of the Worlds, it was very creative that of how Ben resolved the war. He didn't do it with violence. Well, there was a bit of violence, but ultimately it wasn't coming down to like a big battle, but it was like he literally got the DNA aliens to surrender by essentially removing the racism out of their DNA, essentially, which I do appreciate that about War of the Worlds, how it wasn't like a big climactic showdown. It was just like, okay, these aliens are racist, so how are we going to solve it? By getting rid of their racism. But here, it really does feel like a Deus Ex Machina.
I mean, how Ben returned to Earth and got the sample of Bullfrag was elaborated on in the video game Ben 10 Omniverse 2.
Yeah, but if you didn't play the video game, it would come out of nowhere.
But at the same time, I feel.
But at the same time as well, the Deus Ex Machina part of this is just the human, like literally the humans and aliens are at their throats 1 minute and then they're cool with each other the second.
Because they're uniting against a dictator?
But I really think there should have been more build up to this. Like, this should have been a 3-parter.
That would have been cool. But if you ask me, like I thought it was a good 2-parter as is.
It was okay.
I do feel like the initial mystery behind Bullfrag being Ben was one of the better plot twists we've had.
Yeah, that was a great plot twist that I didn't see coming. And the fact that, of course, because this is a Taya as well, so this naturally makes sense for a character that this will be a plan from day one to basically backstab her father to end the war. But at the same time, the whole aliens and humans like being at each other's throats and then all of a sudden being cool with each other, that really needed more build up.
Hey, hard times can can unite the most unlikely of allies.
I
mean,
guess.
America teamed up with the Soviet Union during World War II.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so
But,
that was season 3 and end of the Frogs of War arc.
I still prefer the malware arc, but this
Yeah,
was still a good one nonetheless.
it was all right, but compared to the malware arc, it does fall short. Considering we've had more time with the incursions as well, you figure this would be a lot better than the malware arc.
Though, there is something that you have been that that we forgot to mention. The way bads.
Oh yeah, the way bads.
Basically, they are giant evil mutant toku stars. Who are under the control of Emperor Milius, thanks to the mind control serum created by Dr. Psychobos.
Dr. Psychobos, yeah. I can't believe I forgot all about these. But yeah, they are pretty cool. They are a pretty cool design. Maybe it's just the grey with purple.
And not to mention that Arjit took one of these giant mutant toku stars down by launching all of his quills at one of them.
Yeah, and that was pretty good. But then he had to instantly ruin it with selling out everyone.
He sold everyone out before he took down the Toku Star.
Did he? I thought he did it before. I thought it was the other way around.
No.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, Arjit does take down a mutant Toku Star.
Okay, he gets that one. He gets that one at 1 point from me.
And this puts him at, I don't know. But yeah, overall, I like the Frogs of War.
It was okay. It was okay. But the arc that comes after this, I do like a lot better. The Albedo arc.
Yep. Starting off with episode
season 4, episode 1, Food Around the Corner, which has nothing to do with Albedo, but instead focuses on Ben being political. Well, as Gravitax will also having cockroaches conquer him.
Yep. So basically, the episode centers around peace talks between the Luodans and the Apoplexians. If you remember, the Apoplexians were raft species.
Let me tell you something, Luke. The Apoplexians are raft species. Get that right. Okay, Raph. I'm sorry.
And apparently, the Apoplexians used the bathroom in the Luodan sacred sands. But that's because the bathrooms were locked.
Yeah. Yes. So really, they're just as bad as each other in that sense. So yeah, whilst all this talk is going on, we have the cockroach creatures just really getting on Ben's nerves here, like the kind of like nits just all over his body. But one of the funniest things that I found about this episode is one of the reveals of what Raph has been doing this whole time.
Yep, he's been in the buff.
He's been a nudist. That's what he's been doing because Raph's species all wear pants. And I love that. I love that fact that Raph has just been naked this whole time.
Which is kind of weird because, like, they talk about Raph being naked, but they don't talk about, like, Big Chill being naked, or just like who else? I mean, Lodestar doesn't wear pants.
Yeah, Lodestar doesn't wear pants. Well, I would have said Heat Blast, but then again, he'd probably just burn the pants off. So yeah. Also, the leader of Wrath's species is called Vex. I had to put that down because of Vex from Controlled Chaos.
Yeah. Who is also voiced by Jim Cummings, the voice of Tigger.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So it turns out in this episode as well, Poltrude is a traitor for power as well. Because
Yep.
Of course he is.
Yep, he was looking to sabotage Poltrude of Luoda was looking to sabotage the peace talkings.
Yeah.
But it was through his sabotage attempt that the Luodans and the Apoplexians worked out their differences.
Yeah.
And we'll remember to keep the bathrooms unlocked.
Yes, remember to keep the bathrooms unlocked. And while this is all going on, the cockroaches are Rook's taking care of the cockroaches on Ben by being turned into Ant-Man and going on Ben as Gravitax, where it's revealed that the core, the red sphere that's on Gravitax is actually his core. So if that goes boom boom, Gravitax goes boom boom.
Yep. But luckily that was fixed by Ben returning to human. Yeah. And now the Hulex fleas are trying to conquer Poltrude.
Yes, so...
But because he's basically a floating marshmallow, that proves harder than expected.
Yeah, harder than expected. So, yeah, not really an awful lot to go on this episode. It's kind of out of place for an opening episode.
Yeah, but I still thought it was a fun time. We get to see more of one of the species in the Omnitrix.
Yeah, it was a fun time, but I think they should have swapped that episode with the next episode because that's really where we get started on the Albedo arc with the ultimate heist.
Fair enough. And in this episode, we see Ben and Rook chasing down Inspector 13, who apparently lost his job with being a Tekadon weapons master.
Yeah.
Which is evident because the Tekadons in this episode go down really easy.
Yeah, and I knew right away, like, I was just like, this is Albedo. And you kept trying to play up like, is it Albedo? How do you know it's Albedo? Well, for the fact that he talks like Albedo, he sounds like Albedo, and I don't think he even calls Rook by his name the whole time he's impersonating Ben, does he?
He doesn't.
Yes, that's how I was like clearly like, yeah, this is not Ben. It has to be Albedo.
Yeah. So
I've got to say, despite how much Albedo went into impersonating Ben, he kind of sucks at it.
Yeah, he couldn't get down the mannerisms.
Yeah, even though the only mannerism he could get down was the chili fries.
But even then, that's more of like eating chili fries to Albedo is less of like a leisurely thing and more like how we humans pee and poo.
Yeah, but still, he enjoys the chili fries. He's tsundere for the chili fries. I'm making that canon for Albedo's character. But yeah, Albedo and Ben have switched places, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Argit saves the day. Damn it. I can't believe Argit gets a win. He does not deserve a win. It's like how with Phineas, like Fex thinks, oh, Phineas doesn't deserve a win. In my opinion, Argit doesn't deserve a win, but I have to acknowledge he saves the day.
Yep. Also, turns out that Argit has started up a security company, taking in Festina and Solid Plug as his employees.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And also, as well, we have Kaiba being back as well in this episode.
Yep, like they try to play up the mystery that like who's this, but like it's obvious that it's Kyber. Just
Yeah, it's just as obvious as like we know this is Albedo disguised as Ben. Like it's so obvious, like who this is.
yep. But back with Albedo, Rook, and Argit, they managed to infiltrate one of Inspector 13's warehouses because Albedo is looking to get his hands on a polymorphic crystal. I wonder if that has anything to do with Goop.
Of course, it has something to do with Goop. Yeah. So by the end of the episode as well, we get Ultimate Albedo because we get some of the Ultimate Humongous. We get Ultimate Humongosaur
And Ultimate Echo Echo.
and Ultimate Spider Monkey. Yeah, Ultimate Spider Monkey. So it's really like playing up like Albedo being a legitimate threat for this arc. Because also as well we get we do see Ultimate Albedo's true form, which is essentially when I first saw it, I was like, "This is Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles."
I was personally thinking more MODOK from Marvel.
Yeah, I mean that could work as well. But yeah, yeah. So so that was really all I had to say on this episode. It was nice to see Albedo back and being as diabolical as ever.
Yep. But now we get to see some of Luke's favorite villains. In the next episode, Oh Mother, Where Art Thou?
Right, that's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. The fact that you said that, I'm done. I'm out of it. Okay, okay. I might as well stay for the rest because we've only got a few episodes to go now. I mean, what time are we at? We're on 3 hours. Okay, so we could probably wrap this up in the next half an hour.
Yep. So this episode brings back the Vriedel brothers,
who are stealing again. But one thing I do like about this episode, I did like. It was nice seeing Ben's mother again and how she's really taken a shine to Rook because Rook likes her cooking, whereas Ben does not. Can you would imagine like Max cooking for Rook and Ben, and Rook just devouring the cooking.
I could see that. I mean, I think he does like Max's cooking as well. So I guess Ben's mom was taking some notes from Max.
Yeah, probably, more than likely. But we also learned in this episode that the Friedel brothers are actually clones. So when they die, new clones spawn from them. So now this is more of an example of like, the original Friedel brothers are dead because now they're clones.
Which, granted, that was established all the way back in Alien Force, but it's good to bring that back up because we also get introduced to Ma Vriedel.
Oh yeah, Ma Friedel. Oh no, we've seen Ma Friedel before, haven't we?
Yeah, I said reintroduced.
Oh, I thought you said introduced. Me and my hearing. There.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So yeah, we get introduced to Ma Friedel and her little darlings.
Yep, her pretty boys.
Pretty boys, which they are the faces that only a mother would love. Quite literally. So we have one of the pretty boys being taken by the Friedel brothers, which okay, I'll give them this one. Ma Friedel is a shitty mother, so it's so they have so what they're doing is completely justifiable here because she does not give two shits about them. So it's like, okay, we're gonna get our own back on you by stealing one of your pretty boys from you.
Yep, they steal one of the pretty boys to take under their wing.
Yeah, and so Ma Friedel, in the nicest way possible, is like, you get back my pretty boy, or I'm gonna threaten to blow up your planet, Ben Tennyson. And this was one of my notes that I put down. Here. Ben, you forget whether you like it or not. You are a team mom. in commas, yes, that is still canon.
Yeah, like it's funny that because like Moff Riddle threatens to blow up the sun, but Ben thinks he's talking about she's talking about children, and Ben's like, I don't have a son. Yet
You
he completely
do!
yeah. He has 14 necrophrygian children.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, Ben, you are a mom.
Yeah, which is funny because the last time they were mentioned was in Moff Riddle's debut episode in Ultimate Alien.
I want to see if that is like actually a continuity. Yeah, errors. Let me look at errors. When Moff Riddle says, "I'm gonna," but I don't have I'm a kid. Hello, despite Ben having children and even mentioning it. Yeah, the fact that the wiki even acknowledges that Ben is a teen mom. Yeah, that I just find that I think Ben is just. I think the reason my explanation is that Ben is just like, I don't want to think about that kind of thing. I think that's what he's going through. But yeah, my question here is that how did Marth Riddle make Phil Gax cry? Because it's mentioned that she made Phil Gax cry. So I'm questioning like, how does Marth Riddle make Phil Gax cry?
That is a good question. It's also revealed that she's wanted in 12 systems and banned in 27, on top of making Vilgax cry.
Yes. That is okay. Much as I hate the Friedel family, I want to know that episode. I want that episode where we find out like what caused Phil Gax to cry because of Marth Riddle. I really want an answer to that question. But a bigger question is like, how did Marth Riddle get Ben's phone number? Internet.
Or I guess the plumber database.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the plumber database. That makes a lot more sense. But another question as well, like so many questions about this episode. Okay, so Pretty Boy is licking a lollipop here that is strong enough to break steel. Like, because like it breaks some steel and it even destroys the site. Like, how powerful is that lollipop?
I don't know. Probably made up some really tough stuff.
Yeah, made out of some really tough stuff.
Not to mention, Octagon and Rhomboid are planning to steal something from Moff Riddle to prepare for their greatest criminal undertaking. And so they try yeah, they end up stealing a part of Moff Riddle's rocket, which Moff Riddle ends up launching the rocket that's gonna go towards the sun. And it's also where we get the reintroduction of Ditto.
Yeah, who again? I do still prefer Echo.
Same. But it turns out they're no match for some full-grown pretty boys.
Yeah, no match for some pro-grown pretty boys. So we have Pretty Boys just coming left, right, and center. Which how many clones of Pretty Boy are there? Like, is there like a canon number?
I don't know.
But one thing we do know is that Marth Riddle respects mothers.
Yep. Because
Ben's mother is just trying to give him leftovers, left, right, and center. And then once she meets up with Marth Riddle, they're like, "Oh, our mother's love is eternal," kind of thing.
Yep. Especially when Moff Riddle threatens to
kill Ben.
Yeah, and despite Moff Riddle being banned in 27 systems, wanted in 12, and making Vilgax cry. Ben's mom starts yelling at Mav Riedel, which, hey, you know what? At least I just find it so hilarious, the fact that Mav Riedel respects Ben's mom.
Yes, that is hilarious.
And the fact that Octagon and Rhomboid finally did her proud for stealing the warhead for the rocket, which is why the rocket was a dud.
Yeah, of course it was.
And the fact that it did such a good job at watching over the pretty boy they stole.
They can watch over all the pretty boys. Which I can't decide if that is like hell, or hell.
This is also where one of the pretty boys gets named a dodecahedron or Dodie.
I love that. Like, what are the other ones going to be named? Octagon or Octi?
I mean, there's already Octagon.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah. So yeah, those were all my notes for the episode. Now we get on to Max's monster, where it turns out we have Phil back from the classic series as well, who has had his DNA affected. So now he is being turned into a monster.
Yep. So the reason for that is because Phil, while in the Null Void, was picked up by malware and malware, Psychobos, and Kyber to be used as a test dummy for the Nematrix. And it turns out that the Nematrix has an effect on sapient minds.
Yeah, which Phil falls under. So I literally put it as wibbly wobbly timey wimey antics. Phil is here.
Except it's not wibbly wobbly timey wimey bullshit, because this has nothing to do with time travel.
I know. I know. I just found it fun to put that in. And this is where Max is kind of a bit hypocritical, because when Kevin was going through this, Max was certain, like, okay, we need to put Kevin in the Null Void. Kevin's too dangerous to be left out of the Null Void. He needs to be put in there. But now that it's his old partner, he's kind of like, no, I can't do that to him.
No, Max said that if he was in Ben's shoes, he'd put him down like a dog. He wanted to freaking murk Kevin, put him on a t-shirt, kill him.
Yeah, but with Phil, like, how is this any different, Max? I love you, Max, but we've got to call you out on your hypocrisy here.
I think it's the fact that, like, probably Max has more, like, connection to Phil, which could explain his hypocrisy. Not justify it, of course, but...
Yeah, not justify it, but understandable. But at the same time, Phil was dangerous. He needed to be put back in the Null Void, which is what they do.
Yep. It's also in this episode that, for some reason, Ben keeps transforming into electric aliens, which allows us to get the reintroduction of Frankenstrike after only appearing once in the classic series.
Yeah, we get quite a few aliens that only appeared, like, in the classic series coming back.
Yeah.
I do believe Buzzshock is another one of them as well.
Yep. With Ben unlocking the Nosedenian for the first time.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool to see these two again.
Mm-hmm. But we also get Shock, Squatch, and Amphibian in this episode, and feedback in this episode as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Which is always nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Though it is kind of ambiguous whether like that's Phil in there or like another consciousness entirely.
I'm gonna say it is Phil.
Okay,
It is Phil. I'm gonna say it is Phil that's just had his DNA radically altered so much, but it's still Phil.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Probably one of my least favorite Max episodes, just because of his hypocrisy.
Fair enough, but like,
yeah, but every one of your favorite characters has to have their dud moments, except Paradox because he can do no wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now we're on to Evil's Encore, which is just basically another flashback episode focusing on Animo.
Yep. It's Dr. Animo reminiscing about the time he tried to take over Plumber HQ in Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and honestly, because it is a flashback episode, there's not really. I don't think. Again, it's probably another episode where I don't think regular Ben does anything.
He doesn't even speak.
Yeah, that is weird. That is weird. He shows up once to Animo's cell and then just walks past it, and that's it. That's all we get of Ben in this episode. I mean, we get young Ben, but for teen Ben, we don't get him at all.
Yeah,
which is weird. Which is weird. Maybe Yuri looking for a way to take a break for a week.
Maybe. It's. I also noticed an Easter egg. While Animo has taking control of the plumber base, Max has like an ID number that's 12275, which is a reference to when the first episode of Ben 10 aired, 12/27/2005.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Cool.
It's an override. It's a code that Max uses to override the security systems. My bad.
That is pretty cool. But yeah, really, honestly, not much to say about this episode. If I'm being honest, like I said, it's literally. Oh, what?
Apparently, Tom Pugley wrote this episode after not being in the series since the classic series.
Oh right, okay, that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting to hear. And really, I literally only had like 2 noteworthy notes for this episode. The Metal Gear Solid sound effect when Robot questions when Ben is, it like does like the alert sound effect from Metal Gear Solid. And also Animo gains access to Rushmore Promise HQ. And it has creating a 2-headed giraffe that can shoot lasers. I repeat, a 2-headed giraffe that can shoot lasers. Why has that never been a thing before?
Yeah, at least it's a thing here now. Not to mention, like, Dwight Schultz really shows off his range with Dr. Animo. Because he has like a bunch of stuffed animals that like he gives voices to.
He really does. He really does do a great job here. I just wanted to check something quickly. When Diamond Head hangs off the edge of the bridge and then disappears, a question mark appears and an alerting sound effect. This is reference to the Metal Gear Solid series.
Which is ironic because Max's voice actor voices the Colonel.
Yeah. Oh my God. I really now want to get clips of the you know that episode when Ben is playing when Max is playing Sumo Slammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to get clips of Paul doing ride and turn off the game console. It would just work so well. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about the animal flashback episode. Now we get a return of a classic group of villains, the Forever Knights.
Yep, with Return to Forever.
Yeah, where not only do we get them back, but we get Jimmy back, where he finds out that there's something dodgy going on with the Forever Knights, and rather than going immediately to Ben, he goes to Will. He goes to Will.
I mean, it's because he sees him in a photo with the Forever Knights.
Yeah, and I guess that does make sense, but at the same time, Will's not going to reveal anything because he's a complete douche canoe. But it turns out that Will at this point is involved with the Forever Knights, and he's still being racist to aliens by trying to turn them into humans. Keep at it, Will, and you'll soon get your comeuppance. Which is what I love most about the ending of this episode. It's so satisfying. Such a satisfying ending to Will.
Yeah, and the leader of the Forever Knights is now Joseph Chadwick from the episode Pet Project. As trying to.
Yeah, just take your time.
Yeah. So we also get the return of the Red Knight or the Forever Ninja from the -10.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see him again. And we also have a way of how the Forever Knights get around Ben's aliens. They are basically scanning them to stop them coming out.
Yep.
Yeah. But by the end of it all, Jerry Rig rewires the device so that Will gets turned into an alien. It feels so good to see a character that you despise just absolutely have a fate that, in all honesty, they probably think is worse than death. I think Will would probably rather die than be an alien the rest of his life.
Probably, because unless that alien happens to be an incursion, which of course the conspiracy theory news anchor is all in favor of a dictator, if you catch my drift.
Yes.
Wink.
To who Will is an allegory for, that we mentioned at the beginning of Ultimate Alien. In no way has the same first name as one of my brothers.
But anyways, that's all I had on Return to Forever.
Yeah, that's really all I had as well. So now, Mud is thicker than water, where we get the return of Cousin Lucy. Psych!
Yeah, so it turns out that Lucy is actually a freelance. Well, not really freelance, but like, I guess kind of like how Ben, Gwen, and Kevin were until basic training in Ultimate Alien.
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing that Lucy's going for here. But what's interesting about this episode is that it takes place at the same time that the episode coming up after it does. So while we focus on Gwen and Ben here, Kevin and Rook are off to a road show. So we'll find out more about what they're up to in the next episode. But for now, and we get hints throughout the episode of like what's going on with them, but we don't get the full picture until the next episode. So for now, with Cousin Lucy, she's going around just psyching out everyone by basically disguising herself as other people and aliens. And at the same time, there's a traitor in the plumbers, and Gwen suspects that it's Lucy. And to be fair, she does have kind of like a good way a good reason to suspect Lucy because of Lucy essentially doing the boy who cried wolf here.
Not really. She's just a red herring.
Yeah, a red herring, but at the same time, I mean, can you really blame Gwen because of of Lucy just coming in unsuspectingly and being like, yeah, and she's being like, psych, 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 psych. Every time that somebody does that, they're up to no good. Yeah. But it turns out that no, it wasn't Lucy, and she was spying on Siphon's group the whole time because Lucy was disguising herself as Liam.
Yep, and it turns out the traitor is actually a Tetraman known as Gorvin, who made his first appearance in the Ben 10 Alien Force video game.
Which again, I never played any of the video games, so this was a new character to me.
Yep. Also something I want to correct myself. Lucy does have like an official plumber's badge, so
okay.
She graduated early from the academy.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. But yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, I really liked Lucy in this episode. It felt like because I was watching some Ink Tank videos. But it feels like Lucy is like an improved version of remember Sunny from Ultimate Alien?
Yeah.
This just feels like what they do with Lucy here just feels like a better version of Sunny.
Yeah, yeah. Because Sunny's their cousin, isn't she, as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just related to Verdona, not Max.
Yeah, but she's still technically Gwen and Ben's cousin.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's actually no, I don't want that. I don't want Max's wife and lover in the same room together. But still, I'm still waiting for that Max series. Still waiting for that Max series.
But the way Warner Brothers is going, we're probably not going to get it.
Yeah. So anyway, now that we know what Ben and Gwen were up to, let's find out what Rook and Kevin were up to in OTTO motives.
Auto motives.
Motives, where we have the return of my boy Upgrade.
Yep. So, the episode starts with a flashback to Kevin and Arch in the Null Void, where they meet a robot named Otto, who says he'll help them get out of the Null Void, but really he just abandons them.
Yeah. He was more of a sleazeball than Arjit.
And now in present day on the planet of Khaos, Kevin and Rook are going to see a car show. We also see Hoakstar there now being a spokesperson for Mr. Smoothies.
Of course.
We also see 7-7 holding up 2-2.
Yes. While enjoying the event, and also we have Warlord Gar appearing as well. Where Kevin is surprised, like he's like, "Oh hey, I'm surprised you wanted to see me after I kind of like ditched your daughter." But it turns out that Loma is away somewhere.
It's unfortunately, the car show gets
attacked, and so Kevin and Rook have to call in Ben, who, as we know, at this point is busy with his own problems. He's like, "I'll be there as soon as possible." And the way he gets there is that he had to get Asmith to teleport him there. Like, can you imagine that? What that conversation was like? It's like, Asmith, I need to get to Booker. Can't you see I'm working on a scientific breakthrough here, Ben Tennyson? It's like, forget your scientific breakthrough. I need to save my friends. Oh, right, but you need to be the guinea pig for my scientific. Yes, fine, I'll be your guinea pig. Just get me there. So yeah, like I said, we have my boy Upgrade back in this episode. His first time in a long time since we've seen him. Like, when was the last time we saw him?
The Heroes United crossover.
Fucking hell, that was a while ago. Like, it's been like, he wasn't in Ultimate Alien. What was it? Oh yeah, just the Heroes United one. But he wasn't in Alien Force at all. So, like, it's been so long since we've seen him. So to see him here, like, oh my god, it was such a treat to see him.
Should we also count Destroy All Aliens? Because that.
I guess we can count that as well. But
so technically, his last appearance was Destroy All Aliens.
All right, but still, it's been forever since we've seen Upgrade.
Yeah, it has been, and we basically get a giant Transformers reference because Otto merges with a bunch of other vehicles, including Rook's proto truck, and becomes Otto Gestalt.
Yeah, and of course, because of this, because of all of this, Kevin's car gets destroyed again.
Yep.
Yeah, Kevin really needs to put a restraining order onto anyone who destroys his car. Because I mean, how many times has his car been destroyed now?
Too many times to count.
Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, so that was really all the notes I had on automotives. So unless you had more to say.
I'm trying to. Yeah, here it is. When Otto becomes one with the proto truck and the alien cars he stole, he calls himself Otto Gestalt. Gestalt means an organized whole that is perceived as more of the sum of its parts, and a parody of Transformers Combiners, which fans of the franchise use the word Gestalt to refer to differentiate these from other characters who have similar combination gimmicks.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Also, there are two background characters that are Planchacoolies, called Grick and Grack, which are based on, I believe, on a car themed radio show. Well, let me pull. Yeah, Grick and Grack are based on Tom and Ray Magliozzi, who are known by the nicknames Click and Clack, who host the weekly radio show called Car Talk.
I see.
So I thought that was interesting. But
yeah, that is interesting. But now we're getting into the finale of the first half of Ben 10 Omniverse, starting with A Fist of Brains, where we have Ben chasing Albedo, and it's revealed that Ben is 41 light years away. So the question is, like, how fast will Rook's truck have to be to catch up to Ben?
Well, it would depend the amount of time it would take. Like, yeah, because to determine that speed, we need to determine. Well, we have distance, but we also need to like a time frame. So
yeah,
kind of hard to tell. Without that without the amount of time it took.
Yeah, I guess so. But
Um,
also as well, Rook gives Max. This is quite clever what they do here. Like Rook gives Max the idea of like, hey, maybe we could use some residual DNA samples to track exactly where Ben is at the moment. Which was pretty clever idea there. Like Ben's been going all over the universe. His residual DNA is going to be somewhere. Let's use that as like a map to locate where Ben is. And also in this finale we have Kyber being back, who basically has Ben play a game of chase where it's like, okay, this game is going to only end when you die, Ben.
And Kyber has a new pet, a Penuncian, who
Yes, he
is
does.
the natural predator of Ditto species, the Splixons.
And why is this? Because it can duplicate itself as well. Yeah. So my from what and I did say this when we were watching it, like wouldn't Kyber just have to eat one of the Dittos in order to like defeat Ben? Because if Ben, because from what I understand, like all the Dittos have to go back into Ben for him to go back to human.
Yeah, but I think, like, at least how I understand it, like, all the clones are still, like, real and tangible. So, like, each of the clones could probably, like, feel being eaten, but only one of the clones gets eaten.
I see.
But all the clones do automatically come back together when Ben detransforms.
Okay. But still, I'm just thinking like, couldn't the way that they could use this as a way of get Ben is like just grab one of the clones, stab him, and then one of the clones dies. I mean, I'm surprised no one's like tried that in the series. Like, hey, we've got one of the clones here. Let's stab it and see what happens.
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Maybe something similar to Echo, where as long as one clone lives, Ben's still alive.
Maybe, but then would it mean that he's permanently stuck as that particular clone, or like he's stuck as Echo or Dittle forever now? Because okay, that's my theory taken out of the war and shot dead in the ground right there. But anyway, so we have also Ben having to take on all the Nemetrix predators at once here. Whilst Albedo has set a trap for Max and Rook, and of course we have Dr. Psychosis involved in this as well.
Nope, it's just Albedo.
But nope, it's just Albedo.
Yep.
And I do like this little nod here that is made in the episode. There's nothing wrong with the classic, and there is nothing wrong with the newbies. I'm just thinking, like, is that a reference to like how Omniverse is being perceived by the fan base compared to the classic series? Because from what I understand, like Omniverse wasn't well received from like from fans of the classic series.
I mean, it was Omniverse did have a bit of a poor reputation starting out.
So I feel like that's probably what they were alluding to. Like, hey, there's nothing wrong with Omniverse. It's still part of the franchise just as much as the classic series is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it just seems like a really out of context line, unless you look at it in that context. But what I do like about this as well is that during all of this, Ben and Albedo are just poking fun at the cliche villain hero dialogue all the time throughout these episodes. But this is where we learn of what Albedo's real plan is, what the plan he's been building up to throughout the entire series. So he's captured Asmith, and he plans to combine, and he plans to take Asmith's brain, and combine it with its own brain to become basically like the biggest brain in the universe.
And we follow. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was basically gonna get that into the next episode, which is a few brains more, where we have basically Asmith as like a simpleton. He basically becomes like Kirishita, or what's his name from My Hero Academia.
You mean Kaminari?
Kaminari, like when he goes all simpleton, that was it. Like that's what Asmith is like in this. And you know what? After Asmith being kind of a bastard for most of it, it's nice that we get to see simpleton Asmith.
Yep.
But also we have Asmith's brain giving Ben the components to actually. Okay, you got to reverse all of this, Ben, and one of the components is a pair of scissors. Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's necessary for the process of building a cerebral vortex.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, I've forgotten like what this note was all about. Like, what clock does Rook know? Something about clock.
Well, let me.
Yeah, while you're finding that out, I'll go through my other notes for this final episode of season 4. So we have Kevin and Gwen coming back along with Zed, which is nice that we're getting them back in the series for the. Go ahead.
Not to mention, we have a redesign of the Rust Bucket 3.
Yes,
looking more like a Rust Bucket.
Yes, looking more like a Rust Bucket. We have also Upchuck thawing Kyber's pet, but unlike other times when thawing has worked, it mutates into its ultimate form. So Upchuck chucks it right back out.
Yep. That's kind of a shame. Like they didn't like elaborate more on the well. We still haven't finished watching the series, so I hope the idea of ultimate predators gets elaborated on a little more.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so as well. So anyway, we have Ben turning into the Pixie Fairy as well.
Yep, Pesky Dust, his Nemuina transformation.
Pixie Dust, and he uses sleep powder on Kyber to basically showcases Kyber's worst nightmare, which is being friends with Ben and smiling. And Kyber just in this nightmare is like, oh my god, that is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life, just because of the fact it's Kyber.
Yeah. We also see just some general dream trippiness. Like one thing I noticed is like Gwen runs up to Ben and Kyber sitting at the table while Max just floats.
Yes, that is just weird. That whole dream sequence was just weird to see. It was probably one of the most surreal things in this franchise, given it's Kyber.
Yeah, but they find out that that Albedo has taken Asmith's brain to somewhere with a laboratory.
And it's Billy's laboratory. It's Billy, because you go to Billy and Tower in this finale, and when Albedo does technically absorb Asmith's brain, he realizes that like his understanding is his undoing, because because too much understanding becomes too much for him, essentially.
Yep.
And now we get a new alien, Atomics, which is a pretty cool alien.
It is a it is a pretty cool alien. I do know that Atomics has seen like his fair share of backlash.
I don't understand why. I like Atomics.
Mostly from the design. I've heard like some people say it's too like robotic and mecha looking.
But it's oh my god, I've just realized something. Atomics like fluids that go in him. Isn't that like from one of the openings?
Looks like yeah, but it's radiation.
Oh right, yeah. Of course, it's radiation. So how do we wrap up Albedo's story for now? What is worse than being trapped in Ben's teenage body?
Being trapped in Ben's 11-year-old body.
Yes, so now Albedo is now Albedo 11, which is probably like the worst thing for him at this moment in time. So yeah, that was the Albedo arc, and of course Kyber escapes again. I'm sure we'll see Kyber again.
Probably.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first half of Omniverse season of Omniverse. Overall, in my opinion, it wasn't as bad as what people have made it out. It's kind of like Operation Overdrive in a way.
Except I think in comparison, this is much better.
Yeah, I would say this is much better than Operation Overdrive. I had a lot more fun. I had a lot of fun with a lot of the art. Like, obviously, the Frogs at War was like the low point of the season, but everything else, like Albedo, Malware, Kyber, all very good.
Yeah, I agree. This is actually my first time going through Omniverse properly. Previously, I had just watched like bits, like clips, bits and pieces, absorbed some of the plot through like general internet osmosis. But sitting down on my ass, watching this properly, yeah, it's really good. Like,
would I say it's better than the first two seasons of Alien Force? No, but it can get up there at times. It can really get up there at times.
Oh hell no.
No, what I'm saying is like it can sort of like get because there are some things that I do like more than the first two seasons of Alien Force.
Personally, I'm like of the opinion that like the first two seasons of Alien Force are like peak Ben 10.
Oh, absolutely. Like the War of the Worlds 2-part is just like that's like the peak, the high point for the Ben 10 franchise.
Not even like just the War of the Worlds 2-parter, but like
all the build up to it as well.
The 2-parter premiere, Paradox's first episode.
Yes.
Kevin's big score, Dark Star Rising, Alone Together, peer pressure.
But with Omniverse as well, the fact that all the seasons are like 10 episodes as well, that makes it a lot more easier to like kind of digest in like one sitting at times.
Yeah, like I mean, hell, we even started on season 5 of Omniverse, and like
yeah. So we got through, I think. We've got through pretty like the first 3 episodes of season 5. No, 4 episodes of season 5.
4 episodes. Yeah.
So yeah, and overall, I did enjoy those episodes as well. I'm looking forward to seeing some more of it. So yeah. Omniverse, if you had initial doubts about it, I would say give it another chance.
I agree. It definitely, definitely think it would surprise you, as it did me.
And hopefully we won't it will be another 5 months or so before we get part 2 out. So until we come back with Omniverse part 2, that's peace for me.
Peace.